Crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
It is time for the crossover. It's brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha, everlowconcrete.com. You have been saved from talking about 4 hours of handshake gate.
We're still talking about the handshake.
Well, you better talk about Tony White because Tony White's leaving.
Tony, excuse me, Tony's going to Florida State.
Tony is going to Florida State.
Yes, this has been reported now.
On 3 was the first.
So is this what I'm looking at? He's the top name, or is this
he is
done?
going to Florida State.
Yeah.
They had
usually when you see it, this
they
guy's
had
the
a
top
staff
name.
meeting yesterday.
There you go.
So the question will be, well, people will have questions on why you would leave to go to Florida State and be the defensive coordinator.
Lateral move.
But they will also wonder,
But they got Gus Malzahn now.
Will he take anybody with him from Nebraska's staff, whether they be on field as one of the paid assistant coaches or an analyst? Because he is very fond of a few guys on that defensive side of the ball.
You know what's funny? He didn't but he didn't like bring anybody with him, really, did he? I mean, from his Syracuse days.
He did back then
behind the scenes, yeah,
that have worked with either linebackers or defensive line.
Yeah, I wonder. I imagine at Florida State, as bad as that went, they're trying to put together some sort of like all-star fantasy coach staff just to appease the masses, you know. So I would imagine that they'll go try and hire like a bunch of superstars.
Worked at Ohio State. Oh wait,
that's just the roster. That's the $20 million roster. When you're world famous, it doesn't always work out.
World famous Buckeye.
But here's in all honesty with Tony leaving, which is unfortunate because his son is a hell of a football player that would be a freshman in high school. Will there be any players that are very much attached to Tony White or a position coach that may leave that also decides to go to Florida State?
I don't know. I think you have to approach the portal just way different this year. Obviously, Nebraska has a bunch of players that are going to be a part of their plans. At the same time, the numbers, I mean, Nebraska's going to have a lot of people everybody's going to have a lot of people going to the transfer portal. This is going to be an insane next month.
Mm-hmm.
So if that happens, I don't know. I'm going to do my best to not freak out, right? But it probably won't work. I'll probably freak out a little bit.
But you know what? I will say this about Nebraska football. They may be 6-6, and we may be going to the Crapola Pinstripe Bowl.
Hey, whoa. What's up with what's up with the
December
Pinstripe?
28th.
Music City. Yeah.
I looked at the there's a lot of momentum for Pinstripe Bowl today. I hope people are wrong. People
I don't have a problem with the Pinstripe Bowl.
People don't want to be proven wrong. They want to be proven right. So I'm going to hold faith that we're going to Nashville. Because I would rather go to Nashville than New York City because I don't think my bank account can handle a trip to New York City around Christmas.
They just
or my derriere sitting in a baseball stadium watching a football game.
Last time they went to a bowl game, though, they went to Nashville. So I don't know. Maybe try something new. Pinstripe Bowl wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
I don't know if you know this, Connor.
Yeah.
Nashville has changed in 8 years.
I don't know. Has it really? I mean, really has it?
Yes, it has.
Really has it?
Yes, it has.
I don't know. Maybe they have more.
Broadway is longer.
They have more Morgan Wallen bars now, but that's about it.
You got to go to the Jason Aldean bar.
Oh, I heard some things that happened at the Jason Aldean. Isn't that where Morgan Wallen threw the chair off the roof?
Maybe. Which is now up in his bar in Nashville on the wall.
Very cool. Very cool. I don't know. That doesn't quite get me fired up as much. Take me to the Pinstripe Bowl. We could talk about history. The Yankees.
Would you go back home?
I don't know. I don't know.
Look at the prices, by the way, out of Epley I did this morning.
So what's the
28th?
Look at that. There's no Creighton games or Nebraska women's basketball games that weekend. So it's potentially doable.
You've driven to New York before?
I have, but
long drive
I would not do that. Last time I went to New York, I've always told people this since I went. Go through Kansas City. You drive down to Kansas City. You go direct southwest to LaGuardia.
Airport. I thought you were like driving, and I'm like,
no, not taking that way. Not taken that way. So I don't drive. If Nebraska goes to the Pinstripe Bowl, do not drive. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. Especially at this time of year.
So I saw it first with USA Today. I think Sporting News also has Pinstripe Bowl against Pitt.
Pinstripe Bowl against Pitt. All right.
A little bit different between Nashville, LSU, New York City, Pitt.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly or Pat Narduzzi?
I guess you want to play a good team. You want to play a big brand. So I guess you'd rather play LSU in Nashville, Josh's favorite stadium on planet Earth.
Tighten up, baby.
Tighten up.
Aaron Rodgers gonna be your quarterback next year.
How about some Titans action yesterday? Woof. Yikes.
It's got off to a bad start.
Yeah, definitely did. Definitely did.
That performance yesterday by Washington might have gotten Kingsbury an interview in Chicago. People thought he was drifting away.
He had plateaued, now he's back.
Now he's back. Now he's getting an interview with the Bears. He'll have to fly a commercial to Chicago to interview. Get a rental car, then drive to Hallis Hall to interview.
Yeah, that was great. The whole ending to the Bears game on Thursday.
Hey,
I mean,
people
just
forget
amazing.
that there was so much stuff that has gone on post that. You forget about the complete debacle of the last minute of that game.
That's
hilarious.
That's why you fire him when you fire him, so the weekend can churn it up in the news cycle, and by Monday it doesn't matter.
I mean,
the weekend really did help the Bears quite a bit. They still need a coach, but the weekend really helped the Bears. Oh, what's that? We're going to start a fight in every other game this weekend. Bears, you're off the hook.
Plant a flag, start a fight.
Yeah.
That's what college football is all about. That's what rivalries are about. That is the emotion. That's why we love it. That's why we consume it.
Yeah, that's why dudes are hitting quarterbacks in the head when they're sliding.
Yeah.
That's totally cool.
Hey, I told Jimmy this. That's straight out of the 80s.
That was
a
bad.
hit like that.
That was bad. I've seen some people try. There's always like one guy who's like, "Come on, it's football." I'm like, no, not quite.
Yeah, that was uncalled for. That was a cheap shot.
That was really bad. Really, really bad. And then, of course, you have the added, skirmish afterwards, and then people throwing stuff and saying things as he's, getting restrained and heading up the tunnel and stuff like that. Oh, we love football.
Hey, what do you think would happen in the NFL if somebody planted a flag? Like Houston beats Jacksonville, they plant a grass field, someone hands C.J. Stroud a flag, a Texan flag, and he plants it in the middle of the field of an NFL stadium. Do you think anything would happen? Do you think people just walk away?
Maybe it would depend on which one.
Can we just exchange jerseys and take the picture?
What if it happened in like Vegas? If the Chiefs tried to plant a Chiefs flag against the Raiders, I don't think anybody would probably care. But if somebody tried to plant a flag on the Chiefs, like if the Ravens,
you don't touch the arrowhead.
If the Ravens tried to plant a flag on the Chiefs, yeah, then we're in trouble.
You leave the arrowhead alone.
Someone tries to plant it in the star. Remember Terrell Owens and all that? I think Baker Mayfield could get away with it.
Baker loves planting flags. He was like one of the original flag planters.
He was. And we thought he was stupid at the time because he was trying to plant a flag on a turf field.
On a turf field. We saw that a lot now this weekend.
Has the midfield logo become a symbol of America?
I'm not sure what you mean.
A little bit. It's very much a sacred ground to some. That when it's desecrated, we act accordingly, or we use that for a reaction.
Yes. So are you saying that the teams who try to plant their flag on their logo are what? Communists? Something like that?
I wouldn't go that far.
All right.
But what it has proven this weekend is that it's a bigger deal to plant a flag in a rivalry game than to plant a flag on the moon.
Yes. Well, there'd be no fight if you tried to plant a flag on the moon.
You never know. The Martians might come.
Yeah.
They might not be happy.
They would not be
with a flag being planted on the moon.
They would not be happy.
Now, why would the Martians care that a flag was planted on the moon, Gary?
Great point. Martians live on Mars.
Let me think about that.
What do they call the people who inhabit moon?
Moon people?
Moon people? Just moon people? Are we
the same people that
people?
brought you the moon pies? I was thinking after our conversation on Wednesday about Vegas and young Nick. So Omaha is playing Abilene Christian on Saturday night.
Okay.
They have a player who plays regular minutes. His last name is Hill. That's not the story. His first name is Moo Shy.
Mushai. Mouche?
I wanted so badly to call him Mushi,
Mushy.
but it was Moo Shy.
I almost forgot that happened. That feels like it was 8 lifetimes ago now.
I thought you guys were still on the air when I came in this morning.
Yeah. From Big Red Overreaction.
Both?
Oh.
You had quite the week. Vegas and doing a marathon on Wednesday to Big Red Overreaction. I couldn't do you, by the way.
So I got back.
I wanted to do you on Friday night. I couldn't do you guys. I just couldn't.
I understand.
I could have been there for
a lot of people did do us, though.
I know. I could have been there for the comedy, but
well, if you missed Big Red Overreaction, stay tuned because we'll have and this is something that I want to do, especially if I'm doing the show from here on out. People always often ask me after the games, "Hey, how was Big Red Overreaction?"
Wait a minute. What did you say?
Was that
if I'm doing the show from here on out?
If I'm doing the I'm doing the show,
okay.
I'll do this.
There's been a lot of announcements today. I was like,
no announcements for me. So if I'm doing the show, I will go back, and this is what I've prepared for today: a Big Red Overreaction recap.
Okay,
a montage of some of the, not all the things. This is a non-exhaustive list of things that were said and talked about on Big Red Overreaction. We'll have that for you during the show today. People ask me, they're like, "How's Big Red Overreaction?" I'll just point them to this. It'll be great.
Thank you for people that are pointing out what you can and can't do on the moon.
Our old friend Greg Smith from Rivals,
I saw that,
is reporting that he's told that defensive line coach Terrence Knighton will join Tony White in Tallahassee.
Gonna miss that Twitter game that has been pretty aggressive over the last couple of months.
It's a couple good coaches, man. It's a couple good coaches. I know that people soured on Tony White this year, or I don't know what was up with the defense, but
was not fully his fault.
Yeah, I think those are two pretty good coaches. I mean, Knighton.
It's not Giancarlo's fault.
Exactly. Knighton is probably the one coach that everybody universally agreed on, maybe outside of Holgerson at this point.
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah, that's a tough one. Couple tough losses there for Nebraska.
Matt Rule on Wednesday.
They must have given him the bag. I mean, how much are they paying Tony White?
A lot of money.
Yeah.
But it probably, I don't think it'll take as much money to get Terrence Knighton to leave Lincoln.
Probably not.
I don't think it has anything to do with Nebraska. I think it's his connection with Tony White. And then I think it's probably Terrence Knighton living in Lincoln, which is a question for Holgerson.
Where'd Terrence Knighton go to college?
I think he is originally from the South.
He went to Temple.
Okay.
He went to. I feel like we should have known.
But he is not from Philadelphia, correct? I thought he has a strong connection in the South.
He's from the Northeast. He's from Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay, my bad.
Went to high school at Windsor in Connecticut, and went to Temple, where he was drafted in 2009 by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, so the question becomes, is the next defensive coordinator in Nebraska already in Lincoln?
Well, that was always the assumption, right, with Mr. Butler?
Why did Phil Snow show up when he did?
Why did Phil Snow show up when he did? And what will happen with this? Yeah, this is just another thing. This month is going to be wild. Wild.
Wednesday will be kind of interesting. Rule wants to talk about the recruits that he has, and he may get a couple of flippers. The top 3 questions will be the handshake.
Yep.
What are you going to do with defensive coordinator? Why is Terrence Knighton leading?
What's up with your staff?
And what's going to happen with Ed Foley? And he'll be like, let me tell you about this running back we got named Jamarian Parker. We kept him in the fold. I think he's really going to be a good running back.
And everyone's going to be like, that's cool. Nice. Congratulations. What's up with your staff? Where's it going? Why is it leaving like that? That'll be, that'll be, there will be a national signing day this week.
People forget.
People forget about signing day. Remember when signing day was great?
Yeah. Remember when it was actually called signing day?
Yeah, we would have 18-year-olds on the show, and they would say one word, and then we'd have them on for 3 minutes and then leave. That was great.
Now you sign a financial letter of agreement. It is not a national letter of intent.
What a world. What a world.
And then a week from today, the portal opens, and we get to go shopping for a headhunting safety.
I figured right around 10 o'clock, there was going to be stuff that started dropping, and here we are. It's 10 o'clock, and Nebraska staff is moving. What's next?
All
What's
right.
next? That's Matt Rule's thing, right? What's next?
Yeah.
There you go. What's next?
Did not catch him off guard, by the way.
No, I don't think so. This has been a conversation for several weeks now.
Florida State approached Tony White, and then they had a staff meeting yesterday to start to assign roles for bowl prep. And it also, coaches aren't on the road. You also remember when coaches were on the road in December to wrap up a recruiting class?
Yep.
They're not. So they're all in-house.
Excellent.
Okay. So since
so many
Tony
emails.
White's going to take over Handshake Gate.
I woke up on Friday morning, Gary, and I had at least
Hangover?
50 emails. No, I wasn't hungover on Friday. Thursday, I just mostly slept. It was a long day, but Friday I woke up and it's every single email list that I subscribe to for some reason because I ordered something off their website and they're like, "Hey, we have a Black Friday thing." Deleted all of them. I didn't get around to unsubscribing. I really should have unsubscribed. From more than what I ended up doing, which was 0.
Did you or will you buy anything on Cyber Monday?
No. I mean, not necessarily.
The Amazon drone will not be visiting your house today.
If I decide that I want something on Cyber Monday, I'll go find something. But
Some
I'm not going to go
deals at 1620thezone.com.
That's true.
There are some great deals, by the way.
I'm not going to go out of my way and try. I have to buy something on Cyber Monday to be a part of this. I don't think so.
It's going to be the busiest Cyber Monday in the history of Cyber Monday.
Oh, did you get that in an email from
Definitely.
AAA?
CyberMondayOmaha.com.
Gotcha.
From AAA?
Yeah,
So
AAA always emails me
telling-
and they say at every holiday, they're like, this is going to be the busiest 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, travel ever. I'm like, wow, every year, every single year. It's like when quarterbacks get the largest deal in NFL history. Like, congratulations. It doesn't mean anything. It'll get broken in 10 seconds. Nice job. Nice job.
I would keep an eye on Elijah Robinson.
Oh, I remember him. Where's he at now?
He's at Syracuse with Fran Brown, who has a connection to Rule. Nebraska went and got their last DC from Syracuse. Could they be going to get their next DC from Syracuse?
He recently showered.
That's right, Fran Brown.
Yeah.
Yes.
He took a shower.
But remember when there was...
He said, you're welcome, Clemson.
Remember when they were trying to put the staff together? And
yeah,
Elijah
that was
Robinson, he was at Texas A&M.
That was the guy that people wanted,
yes.
for sure.
He's only 39 years old. He would be a guy that I think Nebraska would reach out to.
That'd be great.
He's been at, but here's the thing. If he's coming to Nebraska, he's going to have the same title he has at Syracuse, which is DC and probably associate head coach.
That's fine. Pay him whatever you need to pay him.
After 1 year at Syracuse.
That's fine.
On a different note, would you guys like an invite to a party I'm hosting tomorrow night? That is an extension of Thanksgiving.
I know about you and parties.
You need
and options of what to eat at the parties.
I'm not giving you my keys.
No, that's
Gary.
when I go to somebody else's party. And that story is that's like 9 years ago. And that story has changed so many different ways.
The only way I know it is that you brought those cookies.
And they were very popular. That's what people forget. Would you guys like an invite to my Talladega Nights Thanksgiving tomorrow night?
Talladega Nights? Are you doing a theme?
So
Ricky Bobby?
Shake and bake? You having a bunch of shake and bake?
This is what we're doing. Most people have their traditional Thursday Thanksgiving where you got the turkey and you got the cranberries and you got the stuffing and you got the ham and you got the sweet potatoes and you got the mashed potatoes.
Yes.
My Talladega Nights Thanksgiving is we got 12 people coming. You got to come up with 12 fast food items from one particular place, and you bring nothing but fast food.
You have to bring 12 items?
Yeah, you got to be able to feed everybody. You got to give options. We might have 700 things from a fast food restaurant, like cheeseburgers from McDonald's or like chicken fingers from Raising Cane's, but you have to bring enough to feed everybody.
Okay.
You have to give them options. So when we start Talladega Nights Thanksgiving and I put it out on the table, it looks like I'm Trump at the White House hosting a sports team. But that's Talladega Nights Thanksgiving.
It's a good idea. So do you have you have confirmations like people are showing up?
That's 12 so far.
Do you know what they're bringing?
Not yet. So it's okay if they overlap.
I was going to say, is there any...
You got to do it. It's your favorite fast food item that you bring to this party.
Is there any safety nets in there to make sure that everybody just doesn't bring a McChicken?
No. That's the beauty of it. There's the unknown.
And so how many what is the minimum amount of money that you think I need to spend? If I'm
You would
coming to this
maybe,
place?
there are going to be 12 people, so maybe you don't need to bring 12, buy 12 cheeseburgers, but you got to bring like 5 to 6.
So I probably got to spend like $20 probably.
Yeah, $20 for a Talladega Nights Thanksgiving.
All right.
What would you bring if you guys actually accept this invite? And I know you won't, but I wanted to be nice.
I'm very busy.
What would you bring?
I'd get those that 12-pack of tacos Taco Bell will give you.
Ooh, that'd be money. That'd be very.
Why not
popular.
just a 6-pack and a pound from Taco Juan's?
Nah, more of a Taco Bell guy.
Okay.
I think it's
Bell greater than John's.
Bell is cheaper than John's, I've heard.
I think that's right. Yeah.
I only visit those places after 2 a.m.
Taco Bell breakfast kind of good, kind of good.
Sneaky good?
It's like sneaky good, yeah, and sneaky cheap.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they promote their breakfast?
The only problem there is I like to get a soda in the morning, and it's Pepsi.
I know.
Same thing with Taco John's. It's like I just want a nice Diet Coke in the morning. Nope, you can't have it. You could have Mountain Dew Baja Blast in 48 flavors if you want to, though.
Two of the worst words ever spoken when you go to a restaurant. We only have Pepsi.
We have Pepsi products.
Yes.
Is Diet Pepsi okay?
No, it is not.
It's fine, but I don't like it. That's it. Thank you for putting out that tweet, Josh, about how we're covering the Tony White news.
Just
we are covering it.
It's in there. You gotta hunt for it, but it's in there.
What would you bring?
What would I bring to your Ricky Bobby party? So the question, do I want this food to like represent me? Like, do I want to say this is my favorite fast food item?
That's kind of the purpose.
All right. Well, I've long maintained that the McChicken is number one for me. It's a great food. The problem with the McChicken now is that the first one costs $2.39, and the second one's $1.
Okay.
So whatever the math is on that, but basically you're spending twice the amount of money that you should be for boatloads of McChickens.
But look at the joy when you walk into a house and you have McChickens, and you walk in and you see something that you haven't had in a long time, like from Popeyes or Raising Cane's.
I'd be pretty fired up if somebody brought some Popeyes.
I don't know. People do not have to declare what they're bringing. But I do know somebody that's coming that they are a big fan of Popeyes.
Last night I had, we decided to get some takeout, and we got Freddy's frozen custard and steak burgers.
Sure.
And I had never tried their chicken sandwich before.
Oh,
they had a good chicken sandwich.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like you to rate the chicken sandwiches in town.
Well, I mean, there's so
you have
many.
To do fast food, and then you'd have to do sit down.
Everybody's doing a chicken sandwich.
Because I think sit down chicken sandwiches in this town are huge. Dirty Birds is number one.
It's so big. It's just so
That's what
big.
she said.
It is what she said. But it's just it's great. It's very good. It's just too big.
You have to slice the Dirty Birds chicken sandwich in half.
At some point, the bubble is going to burst on overly ginormous foods. At some point, somebody's going to decide, actually, our consumers did not ask for this. What's that? You want to put a triple cheeseburger on top of a Bloody Mary? And nobody has thought yet, wait, this might be a little bit too much and people don't actually want this. At some point, the bubble's going to burst. I don't think it's happened yet. Here's from Max Olson of ESPN.
Did he chime in on the Talladega Thanksgiving?
Yeah, he says he wants a McChicken as well. Nebraska running back Gabe Ervin has entered the transfer portal as a grad transfer. The portal is not open yet, right?
Not officially.
The portal is open a week from today.
Yes. But you begin.
But you can say like, "Hey, I'm going to enter the portal."
Yes, and then that can open the lines of communication.
There's a lot. Matt Rule is having people are just knocking on his door this week, saying, "Coach, we got to talk all week." He's just sitting in there with his legs crossed and his laid back in his chair, and then 42 guys enter his office. Coach, I'm going to the portal.
So I'll give you another. So, friend of mine, his son is a walk-on who plays primarily on special teams. There's the opposite of that. He got called into Rule's office 2 weeks ago, and they all know, like, it is well discussed. We're going down to 105 because you're looking around your position group room and going, "Is that guy going to be here?"
Uh-huh.
They brought him in, and Rule told him that
we're going to have a
he
spot
said-
for you.
Yes, he said, you will have options because of what you've done for us this year, but we hope your number one option is staying here. But yes, there will be a lot in the portal. The Gabe Ervin career at Nebraska is quite fascinating.
I know. It's kind of sad when you think about it.
Pre-injury against Oklahoma, and then how he might have been the most talked about running back prior to the start of the season.
He was the biggest wild card, right?
But
I
Rule-
guess Dowdell
Rule
probably
talked
was.
about him a lot.
Yeah. I like Gabe. I always liked Gabe Ervin, but multiple times unhealthy Gabe Ervin is just like there's no, So what kind of options is that guy going to have? But his goal is he just wants to play.
Yeah.
Right. So he'll probably drop down.
So he's healthy. That's not an issue. But I would imagine, okay, so think about it.
Scored a couple touchdowns for Nebraska this year.
So think about, and 105 is a tight spot. Mike O'Reilly, who was at Bellevue West at Auburn, he's in the portal. I think some guys want to come closer to home. Nebraska's got a pretty deep tight end room, but you never know who's going to be there. I would imagine he'll go back somewhere closer to home in Georgia, like Georgia Southern, Georgia State.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
But he'll have some options. I don't think they'll be at the Power 4 level unless he's got a previous connection to that coach that recruited him, because he only got 105 spots.
I know. It's going to be wild. There's going to be a bunch of really good players who just never find a spot this year. It'll be crazy to watch. Ultimately, I think in the long run, this is probably pretty good for the sport, but there's going to be some tough conversations in the meantime. By the way, Josh Hodson is going to get a lot of run out of our breaking news graphic today. It appears.
Coming handy already.
Yeah. What was the breaking news? Did you do that when Herb Street's dog died?
Yes.
Yes, someone died.
but the reaction on her face is.
Don't you guys have a sad picture?
Well, he already replaced the dog. Yeah,
the dog died.
He's got 6 dogs, and he's like, all right, well, next dog up.
It looked
Why
like
are we the monsters when he immediately
people don't
replaced the
understand
dog?
that picture. They think you're reading the tweet of Kirk Herbstreit.
And we're
It's
shocked
sorrowful.
to read the news.
It's surprising.
Yes.
I don't know. That's a surprising look. I've seen your surprising look.
Oh, so you just expected the dog to die?
Don't all?
At some point, the
You
dog
can't just
will
move
die.
on and go, he's replaced the dog.
He has, but that's what's happened.
Ben will always be in his heart.
Yeah, but now he's got Peter. Peter's with him all the time. You know what? That dog looks exactly the same too. Same dog.
I think he has 4 Goldens.
I think he's got a thing for Goldens for
But
sure.
is there but is there a bigger question about why are his dogs named like normal?
Like people names?
Yeah.
Ben, Peter. I don't know what his other names are. It's probably Steve.
I don't know if he's religious. I don't know if he went with the apostles.
Maybe Eric, something like that.
Actually, yeah, that might be what he's doing.
How do we feel about dogs having people names?
I'm actually pro that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If I had a dog, I'd probably name it like Mark or something, or Steve, or Eric. I think that's a pretty good bit.
By the way, the last Florida State defensive coordinator was paid $2 million.
Yeah, Tony White's gonna get probably, I don't know, he might get 2.3.
Kev Kuz, who is in the group of
Kevin. Oh
It's
my goodness,
hard to win in the NFL. There are no style points in the NFL, and we're happy to be 11-1. He said the only thing interesting about Irvin's career is that he didn't transfer, likely because he got injured. Otherwise, he had 8 runs over 10 yards in 4 years.
I know, but it's like the talent. He was, he kind of falls in the category of Mr. Who is the running back? Trey Bryant. Just
Trey
hurt
Bryant's
too much.
knees, man,
Yeah.
were just awful.
Debilitating.
He had chronic knee problems before he got to Nebraska.
That's right. They thought they could work it out, and
What could have been? Remember that run of Georgia running backs that Nebraska had that were going to be the man?
Yeah.
None of them lasted.
No.
All right.
They got caught up in a coaching staff move and all that stuff. Okay. Well,
Enjoy Monday.
listen to this show for all your latest breaking news. We'll have it, and we'll have a graphic to accompany it, no matter what happens. Josh, did you do the graphic for Lou Carnesecca's passing?
I did not. It happened at a time where I was not ready for it to happen.
All right.
News breaks all the time, though, I know.
News breaks after 10.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
that's
not
right.
happy about.
They don't care what's going on. Right. All right, Gary, have a good day.
Thank you.
That is the crossover powered by Every Level Concrete Repair in Omaha. It's everlevelconcrete.com. It is Monday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Monday. Now, sorry. Yeah. All right.
That's up and running. I
Okay,
apologize.
we're back. We're back on the audio. Welcome to the show today, and welcome to your favorite month of the year. As I was saying, if you didn't hear us on the YouTube, if you like the word sources and things of that nature. The breaking news this morning, as reported by a few, is that Tony White, Nebraska's defensive coordinator, appears headed in the direction of Tallahassee, Florida. Welcome to the Panhandle. Welcome to North Florida. For Tony White, he's going to get a lot of money. Will any Nebraska assistants go with him? It has been speculated that Nebraska defensive line coach Terrence Knighton might be on that plane with them. What a couple good coordinator hires there for Mike Norvell. Gus Malzahn, you get him to leave his post as the head coach at UCF. He's already got, recruiting ties to the area. He's already probably locked in on a couple guys. And then you got Tony White, who has got a bunch of good players on defense who might want to follow him as well. I would just advise everyone, if you live moment to moment in these things and you freak out at every little thing, it's going to be a long week. It's going to be a long next week. And it's going to be a long, long ride until whenever Nebraska plays that bowl game, whether it be the day after Christmas or the weekend after Christmas or on New Year's or whatever it might be.
And I know a lot of you are sitting there thinking, Nebraska's a lunch pail type of program. Those guys are going to show up for the bowl game because it means so much to them. They might not. And you need to be prepared for opt-outs. Okay. I know you think your program's different. It's not.
I don't know. We'll see.
I think there will be a lot of people that do play, but
Nebraska's general disposition on going to a bowl game is that they're excited to be there.
Yes.
Most of the time when you see opt-outs, you either have a bunch of guys that are headed off to the NFL and they don't want to risk it for a meaningless bowl game, or they're not even excited to be there. I don't think Nebraska really meets any of those criteria so far. So we'll see. We'll see about that. Welcome to the show. We have plenty to come today. Mike Schaefer will join us at 11:30. Sam McKewon will join us at 1. That is the lineup, powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Would love to hear from you all. 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor or Josh Show at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today. What's up, brother? The YouTube streamers, people are losing it in the comments already. Losing it. All because Josh decided to put a scroll up about how bad news is coming people's way. Very sad, Josh.
Well, that was to
Josh is a fearmonger.
Well, no, that's to prevent the people who jump in the chat because, I heard from my brother's girlfriend's dentist that Tony White's leaving. You guys aren't talking about it right now. Is it happening? That's what the scroll is there.
It is happening. It seems as if it's happening, although we haven't seen anything official. But it's now been reported by outlets that cover Nebraska, outlets that cover Florida State, and national outlets that Tony White is indeed headed to Florida State. And not just that he's emerged as the top candidate, but he will be the choice for Florida State as their defensive coordinator. So we'll see what happens in the fallout of that today. Elsewhere, we're going to be kind of flying by the seat of our pants because there will be developments around college football throughout the show today. But we had a wild weekend in football in general, filled with fights. We do have to go back to the Iowa-Nebraska game, which did happen.
Oh, man.
On Friday. Yeah, we're going to have to do it. And, we'll talk about what's next for Nebraska. There was basketball from over the weekend. Nebraska had an impressive win yesterday against North Florida.
Triple digits.
Creighton got out of Vegas with a dub against Notre Dame. And there was some volleyball this weekend, too. We'll have a couple regions of not regions, but pods, I suppose, of the NCAA volleyball tournament right here in our fine state in both Omaha and Lincoln this weekend. And then if Nebraska advances out, they'll be hosting volleyball next weekend, potentially with a star-studded region.
Ooh.
That's right, at the NCAA volleyball selection show last night. So a lot to get to.
And yes, have to laugh at Ryan Day.
We'll laugh at Ryan Day. And yes, we'll talk about handshakes. I have an opinion on handshakes, Josh.
Ooh.
I do. I have an opinion on handshakes.
Well, you're required to as a host of a sports radio show today.
Yeah. And there was a lot of discourse about handshakes, lack of handshakes over the weekend. What lack of handshakes caused, things of that nature. Is By the way, is Larry still there? Should we find out?
I think we should find out.
All right.
If you're up for it.
Sure, we got a minute here. Let's take a phone call on the 42 Degrees Source hotline. Hey, Larry, what's up? Larry. All right, he left us. We kept him on a little while there. But you can get in touch with the show. You can, of course, call us throughout today's show, 402-951-1620. But oftentimes, Josh, people will ask me, how was Big Red Overreaction on Friday? Was that a disaster? And I always say, yeah, but you can go back and listen to it. It's all findable. But if you don't feel like digesting the entire 2 hours that me and Jack Mitchell did after the Friday night football game between Nebraska and Iowa, which, man, what a raucous atmosphere. It sounded like just a absolute up for grabs situation. It seemed like in Kinnick, drunk, cold, nighttime rivalry. I mean, I could feel it through the television, and everyone that I've talked to who was at the game, has echoed the same sentiment. But people often ask, okay, how was the show? And I tell them, it was like normal. It was chaotic. It was fun. We just sat there and took calls for a while. We have a recap of that. We'll do it after the break. I have put together a montage of some of my favorite moments from the show.
Oh, great!
So
I didn't have a chance to tune in, so this will benefit me.
You'll enjoy this then. So we'll come back. We'll do that and anything else you guys want to get into. It is a wild Monday here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. All right, if you miss it, widely reported that Nebraska defensive coordinator Tony White is now former Nebraska defensive coordinator Tony White. After 2 years at Nebraska, he appears headed off to Florida State to be their defensive coordinator. People are asking on the text line or via email, like, "Hey, is that like a lateral move, or what kind of move is that?" I wouldn't really take it I wouldn't really take it personally, And to be honest with you, I don't know how people in general, like if I were to go on like a national show today and someone asked me, or a Florida State show, and someone asked me like, hey, how did people feel about Tony White? That's always a good question, right? How was Tony White received? And how, or maybe where's the current wind blowing on Tony White? I would say I don't really know where it is right now. Nebraska's defense was top 20 in the country this year in points allowed. They stopped the run pretty well yet again. Obviously, they had a couple blow up games this year. Indiana being the culprit for a lot of those rankings being down. But he had a pretty good track record in building the defense at Syracuse into a pretty good one. And then I think Nebraska was obviously pretty excited to get him, or fans were pretty excited to get him. When Rule came on, he was Rule's first defensive coordinator at Nebraska. And I don't know, maybe it had just sort of run its course, or maybe they felt like they left something out on the table this year with all of their, old players. This defense was set up to be maybe better than the last defense, that it didn't necessarily meet expectations. So like, I wouldn't take it too personally. Sometimes coaches just, they want to get to a new situation, right? Is this a better situation? Is Florida State a better situation for career advancement than Nebraska is at this point? I probably wouldn't say so. Obviously, things are on the brink there at Florida State after their horrendous season this year, but they've gone out and hired a couple established coordinators from across the country, and Gus Malzahn and Tony White now. But the hot seat is still the hot seat, so it has to kind of work. But ultimately, I kind of figured that Tony White, I guess going back on the thought process on him starting the year, I suppose, we thought Tony White probably wasn't going to be here going into the 2025 season because he would have taken a head coach job somewhere. And I think he was probably a candidate for some head coach jobs around the country. And, we're talking about group of 5 level, but ultimately he's deciding to join on at Florida State, stay a defensive coordinator, and test his luck there. I wouldn't take it too personal, to be honest with you. I think it's a big loss for Nebraska at the same time, though.
I don't know if that's going to be enough for Zippy and Dune Buggy in the morning at ESPN Tallahassee when they drag you on sometime this week, Connor.
Zippy and Dune Buggy?
Yeah.
Oh, I know those guys.
Yeah, those guys.
Those wackos?
Yeah.
They're the ones with the Jack in the Box they like to use all the time, right?
That's right. Very same.
Okay, interesting.
You're familiar with their work?
I'll have to come up with something better then. I'll have to come up with a better answer.
No, but I think you're right. I think that is a fine job for somebody who is looking for the things that Tony White is looking for.
And I guess the other thing you would probably have to watch for is, other staff that would follow. It's been reported that Terrence Knighton might go to Florida State with him. Nothing confirmed on that end yet, but it's been reported by a few outlets that is the case. And then I think, when you have coach movement, especially coordinator movement, what's player movement look like? There are a couple Florida guys in Nebraska's roster that they badly want to protect. And a few of them are on the defensive side as well. So I don't know. It's like I said, it's going to be a wild week. It's going to be a wild next week. It's going to be a wild month. Matt Rule I believe we'll talk on Wednesday, because Nebraska will have a National Signing Day press conference, but he probably won't be asked much about Nebraska's recruiting class, and he may talk for an entire hour. I don't know.
He's definitely going to give that
everything is fine speech.
Well, that and the sadness of narrowing a roster down to 120 or whatever.
Definitely
speech again.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, I don't know.
I don't even know why we signed anybody, guys.
I just feel really bad for everybody that we have to say goodbye to. But like I said before, people ask me how was Big Red overreaction, and I tell them I don't know. You can go back and listen to the show. I thought it was normal. I always think the show is relatively normal, because it's always insane after every single game, because every Nebraska loss seems to be more insane than last, especially, you're set up for a good one when you play Iowa, because it's very likely that Nebraska will lose it in an excruciating fashion and in a very common fashion. So the common sentiment was, how is this happening again? That was a lot of the calls on Friday night, but I made a little montage for you all so you don't have to ask the question this week. How was Big Red overreaction? Here it was.
What's up, Connor and Jack? How the heck did we lose? What in the heck is going on? No, dude, that is all bull. Guys, tell me.
We're all in hell together. Here we are in hell together.
So to do your job, do you have to have a degree in counseling? Because there's a lot of bad takes, and I'm not afraid to say that. You know, Ben Hart is still Ben Hart. But he's been, this probably hasn't been his best year, but he's still Ben Hart. He should never even play the little fold of paper of football where you kick it with your finger. He is so bad.
Did we get rid of Satterfield? I mean, everybody's complaint about Satterfield was running that swing pass. For a couple of examples, we have Gunnar Gatula. He likes to make a false start on any, maybe critical, important down ever.
Well, he'd be camping back there. He'd be setting up tents and cleaning the campground, setting up fire pits, digging latrines.
Dude, guys, I know football. I can coach football. I'm a football junkie. Let's go.
And number 3, does anyone know if Dana Holgerson is single?
Are we just stuck in a jinx? Or I don't understand what's happening to Nebraska football here.
I had interest to go in the bowl game, but I'm not sure now because if it's a pinstripe bowl, I'd never go to New York City anyway because winning problems in the subways and all that junk.
I'm going to give you a question and I'm going to make some statements.
Nobody believes in curses, but I've undertaken a statistical analysis, and I'm almost ready to proclaim that there's some kind of weird mystical thing going on.
I'm sad.
Hey, guys, that's some game. 8 overtimes.
When that punt went down there, did number 7 from Iowa touch it first, or did number 1 from Nebraska touch it first?
Well, first of all, Ed Foley needs to be taking a Greyhound back from Iowa City.
That's just my comment, and I hope somebody agrees with me because I'm pretty much right, I'm assuming. Because if you look at Loyola, he's just so nonchalant.
Just to put everything in perspective, Jay Higgins was my milkman back in the 70s. I'll hang up and listen.
Okay. So, got to promote my page, Big Red Rail. Listen, I'm looking forward to hearing Vince's motivational statement tonight.
So I am wondering if tonight you would like to help lead us in maybe saying sorry for proclaiming an end to the growing peak area, and then perhaps repentance on part of every Nebraska Husker football fan, because I don't know what's going on, but maybe it's with me, right?
We have our long snapper. He likes to snap that ball, just roll it back in the dirt. Richard, the subways aren't that bad. Just go during the day.
The ref in the white cap's looking around. He's going, I don't know where I'm at right now.
It's tough. But maybe in the bowl game they can figure it out, because that is the problem. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. I'm sorry.
There you go. That's how it went.
So many people said I'm sorry.
So that's how the show went. And if you ever been curious of asking your favorite Big Red Overreaction host of, what's hosting that show like? Well, there's a good example. And those calls were not sourced from any other show or any other time. That all happened within 2 hours between about 9:45 and midnight on Friday night. That nothing was, taken from any other time.
So we thought we'd bring in Jack Mitchell, and some weirdo rant that Jack went on would go viral. What we hadn't thought
honestly,
of,
Jack didn't even talk that much.
Right. What we hadn't thought of was, it's going to be like 9:30, 10 o'clock on a Friday night of a holiday weekend. Everyone's going to be sad and drunk.
Most people were hammered.
Yeah.
The last caller that we took was, I think it was Tracy, who asked if Dana Holgerson was single. That was my personal favorite, to be honest with you. There was a lot of good stuff in there, and honestly, that was a non-exhaustive list. I have more that didn't make it inside the 3.5 minutes of Highway to Hell by AC/DC. That was just what fit. It was just what worked. So
Dana has 3 children.
I
don't know his marital status.
I feel like he kind of, he's like a single type of guy.
Yeah.
He kind of just stays single.
Okay.
One of those dudes.
Confirmed bachelor.
Yeah. One of those guys.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to open it up coming up 11. We'll start it off by talking about the handshake. I have opinions about the handshake. I have an opinion about the handshake. We also have a phone call that is waiting. We'll get to that. On the other side, you can feel free to get in touch with the show at 402-951-1620. We'll be back after this on a Monday here on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, what a weekend of college football. We'll discuss the fighting throughout the show today.
So much fighting.
Nebraska didn't shake hands.
The horror.
And then afterwards, everyone had started trying to plant their flag and punching each other in the head. I have once again, non-exhaustive lists of all the skirmishes and fights that were around college football. And I guess there was a big one in the NFL as well. We'll get to those throughout the show, but we're here to take your calls. I didn't realize that this would be a big reaction show, but did we get the Tony White news? He's off to Florida State, so if you guys want to react to that, feel free to do so. 402-951-1620. To the phones we go on the 42 Degrees The Source hotline. Here is John. Hey, John, what's up?
Hi, guys. I've been a fan of Nebraska football since 1 year before Devaney came. They were 3-6 that year. Bill Thunder Thornton was my favorite player, and I've coached football for a good portion of my life. I'm 75 years old, and I'm getting to the stage where I don't like a lot of change in my life. So this move by Tony White to Florida State, I don't think we'll have any problem replacing him. But the problem is, what does that say about people signing on Wednesday? Is that going to affect that? Is he going to take coaches with him? Is that going to be a problem? And possibly even some players going back to Florida. So all of that, and then I hear that Gary Sharp is going to be there. And, as 75, you just don't want a lot of change in your life.
Hey.
Your comment.
Yeah, thanks, John. I appreciate the call. What was the last part about Gary being?
He's going to be somewhere.
Gary's going to be somewhere. It seems like he is going to. Tony White is going to bring at least one member of the Nebraska staff with him. It feels it's been reported that Terrence Knighton will go with him. I don't know that for sure. That's not confirmed. Even the Tony White move isn't confirmed yet, but it's been reported by enough people where you feel probably pretty comfortable about it at this point. And it felt like, I think we all kind of said a couple weeks ago, hey, look, it probably doesn't seem like Tony White's going to be here next year. Now, what do you think that means? What does that point to? Something was off. Something was off this year with the defense. And after having a good year the year before, they didn't, they had the same players really coming back, and it wasn't better, right? Not to say that he didn't do his job or that he made it worse, but something was off there. Whether it be the chemistry, or whatever it might be.
We knew last offseason there was a ticking clock on Tony White.
Yeah, but we thought it would be for a head coach job.
Sure.
We thought it would be for a head coach job somewhere. So I think when people see this, they're like, whoa, what's wrong? Coaches also, move quite a bit, and they go wherever they feel like they can maybe make that next step if that's what they want to do. Obviously, the money is a piece of this thing as well. So I think there's a lot to it. So we talked about potential staff going with them. Might players go with them? I don't think you can rule anything out. I don't think you can rule anything out.
Oh, certainly somebody's going with them.
Right? I don't think you can rule anything out. But I just, if you're 75, like, I wouldn't get too worked up about it.
Definitely don't get too worked up about anything.
I just say if you're living on the moment, if you're living on the edge for the next 4 weeks, God bless you, because it's going to be a long, long ride to when the portal closes on December 28th, and also when up until Nebraska plays their bowl game, there's going to be a lot of stuff, a lot of changes, and a lot of things that are different with this program next year. But that's not that outside of the ordinary, especially for college football and just for this offseason in general. We're about to dive in to the biggest shark-infested waters of an offseason that anybody has ever seen in the sport. They're cutting rosters down. Everybody's going to get paid next year. Nebraska has to go from 150 players on their roster to 105 players on their roster. People are going to leave. And people who are under scholarship are going to leave. And Nebraska has to, they might have to backfill that a little bit or whatever happens. And that is the case for everyone. Coaches will be on the move. Coordinators will be on the move. Staff will be on the move. It's more of an NFL thing. It's more of an NFL type of product at this point, where you kind of just have to hit the refresh button at the beginning of every year. You hope to God that you could keep your best players. Obviously, if Dylan Raiola entered the portal, which I don't expect to happen, but if Dylan Raiola entered the portal, that would be freak out worthy, right? There's a few players on the roster who'd be like, whoa, what's actually happening here? But outside of that, I don't know. It's probably not worth getting too worked up about because you're going to see these spots filled. Nebraska will be on the hunt for certain assistant coaches. Maybe they have certain assistant coaches inside of their building already. It's just going to be a wild month. And then you have a signing day on Wednesday where you're going to add a bunch of people to your class. By the way, USC quarterback Miller Moss has announced that he's entering the transfer portal. Former USC quarterback Miller Moss, who was benched after 9 games this year for Jaden Mayava.
Now, which tier does he fall into? You had some tiers last week.
Yeah, I
in
think
Vegas.
he definitely goes into the member of his family got mad on social media tier.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep. Because that happened. Remember we were looking at his mom's Twitter.
His mom's a good follow.
Yeah. And so players going to Florida State with Tony White, absolutely. I mean, I think you just have to keep an eye on that.
I think Florida State will be very aggressive in trying to rid themselves of the poison of a 2-10 season.
There's going to be teams like that too.
Yep.
Absolutely. There's going to be teams like that just they need to start fresh and they need to start whatever the next iteration of their program is with a bang.
Can't be all DJ Uyunglele's fault.
No, I don't think it is, but maybe a lot of it was.
They thought it was early on.
Yeah. Turns out the rest of the season didn't turn out so good for them too once they went away with him. And then as far as the recruiting class, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, nobody's signed yet. And
what is signing anymore?
What is signing? They'll sign like a financial letter of agreement, I guess, when they quote unquote sign with the class, but no one's preventing them from leaving at any point. It's just everybody's a free agent. It's not just coaches anymore. It's now players. And especially now where roster spots are going to be very hard to come by in college football. And I'm just talking about this offseason. I'm not using this as a platform to get up here and say this is a horrible thing for the sport and this really hurts. Like obviously the walk-ons are something that is ingrained into the soul, into the fabric of college football. But once you sort of get over that part a little bit, you're like, well, this might not be the worst thing in the world. Kind of trim it a little bit. Don't allow the schools with the biggest budgets from around the country to just absolutely stack and pack their rosters. Maybe actually what's happened over the last couple of years is that the talent is spread a little bit. We have a 12-team playoff now. we have a world where the Big 12 champion is not going to get a bye in that. I mean, everything is changing around us. So yes, a lot to watch in the next couple of weeks. But why don't we go back to Friday real quick? Nebraska played a game. Before that game, they played a game in which they out-yarded Iowa by, I don't know, like 150. They outrushed them by about 100. They allowed 5 first downs in the entire game. Tony White's last stand, his last act at Nebraska was allowing 5 first downs the entire game. And one of the things that was talked about the entire year was they got to hold up on third down. They got to get off the field on third down. Nebraska allowed 0 third down conversions on Friday against Iowa. 0.
Not a single one.
0 for 10 were the Hawkeyes. Nebraska was up 10-0 at the start of the second half. They got the ball first. They went down the field, had a good drive, stalled out. You take 3 points, right? It's been automatic lately. Johnny Holmes made 8 straight or 9 straight or whatever it was at that point. Snap is botched. Kick is pulled. Nebraska's defense comes out and gets a stop again. That's when Iowa does their favorite thing ever. Punt. And punting, it turns out, is actually bad. If you're Iowa, you probably just go back on first down and you punt because Nebraska's going to do something stupid. And they did. I Isaiah Garcia Castaneda didn't come up fast enough on the return. It landed in front of him. Nobody knew whether he touched it or not. Vincent Shavers went after the ball. It did appear upon further replay that the Iowa guy touched it first, but Shavers still went for the ball, right? I'm not putting the whole play on him. Obviously, Castaneda's got to go up and catch it, but it's got to be communicated. Hey, Peter, get away, right? It wasn't. Iowa took the ball there, and the Nebraska's defense got a stop again, held for a field goal, 10-3. Iowa's offense had one big play. It was a swing pass, coincidentally, to Caleb Johnson. He took it to the house.
Even after that.
Yep. Even after that, it's 10-10.
I was like, you know what? Iowa can't move the ball minus that one play. I still felt fine.
Nebraska had
I'm an idiot.
Two more opportunities to score touchdowns. With their defense getting a stop there in between. And on their final opportunity when the game is tied 10-10 and they're trying to score to win, Dylan Raiola fumbles the football as he was sacked. That's why we got those calls about Bryce Benhart, by the way. And Iowa took over smack dab in the middle of field goal. Just close enough to their goalpost to be able to kick a 53-yard field goal and win the football game 13-10 as time expired. And then what happened afterwards was a lot of conversation. Jay Higgins, other Iowa players decided to get up at the post-game press conference and say their piece about how they felt about Nebraska. And it came to everybody's attention, especially after a video went, a video out of Iowa City of Jay Higgins searching out Matt Rule, finding him after the game and said, "I'm going to get that handshake." And Matt Rule's like, "Have you seen the video that I'm referencing, Josh?"
I actually haven't. No.
So he goes up to he's searching out Rule. The camera's on Higgins this entire time. He's like, "Where's the head coach? Where's the head coach? Where's the head coach?" He finds him and he shakes his hand, and Matt Rule is just confused. He shook his hand, held it a little while longer. Rule's like, "What is happening here?" And Jay Higgins continues to go on this rant about how he didn't get a handshake before the game. He's very disappointed about not getting a handshake. And then he talked about it more in the post-game press conference. And then we had another storyline to the football game on Friday. Another great iteration of this Iowa-Nebraska rivalry. Handshakes and blowing kisses and game-winning field goals. There was also the thing afterwards about Rule. Iowa people seem to be angry about Rule taking his lap around the field in the pregame. He walks around the field.
The nerve.
He walks around the field. I want to say this, Josh, and I don't know how this will land with you guys. I don't know what the common sentiment here on this is. Shake their freaking hands.
Ooh.
Shake their hands. I don't get it. Like, I mean, I'm not mad about it. I don't think it's necessarily a reflection on the program, although if you wanted to go that way, you might be able to get there. I just we get into this mode where we start defending things and it's like, hey, well, they've done it for every other game, or the big games this year as well. They didn't shake Ohio State's hands. They didn't shake some other team's hands this year too. Why? It doesn't. I don't understand why you would do. It smells like the type of thing to me where the captains come up with this plan. They're in their little huddle, whatever, before the game starts, and they're like, "Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go up there. And we're just gonna look at them. We're gonna have our hands behind our back, and we're not gonna shake their hands." It's almost as premeditated as a touchdown celebration that's choreographed and stuff like that. It's just weird. It's corny, and obviously it's fake tough. It is. I didn't shake their hands. I'm sorry. I know people are in ultra defense mode because it's Nebraska and Iowa. I just I don't, and I also don't think it had this impact. I don't think it provided Iowa the motivation necessary to win the game, right? They won it in the ways in which Iowa has always won the games against Nebraska, which is in inexplicable fashion, right? Nebraska has control of the game and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden a punt happens and it goes the other way, or some nasty turnover happens and it goes the other way. I just shake their hands. They go up to him in the pregame. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're told to do. Doesn't matter how much you hate the guy or how much you're trying to put on the show that you hate the guy. Because that's what it seemed like to me. When you're doing that, you're just trying to put on a show that you hate the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Just shake their hands. It's not really that hard, guys. It's not. It's the same thing with the post-game lineup, afterwards when they meet and they all say good game to each other. Just say good game, right? It's not that hard. Swallow your pride for 10 seconds. Or stop being a fake tough guy. It doesn't make you cool. It doesn't make you cool by not shaking their hands. It doesn't make you cool when you walk off the court at the end of a basketball game and don't shake the other team's hands. And I understand the handshake is like this, old, antiquated thing that was made in a time that is way, way, way different from the sport now. I get that. But everyone else does this. Everyone else does this with that incident. And honestly, I see it happen in other games sometimes, and I'm like, dude, come on. Just shake their hands. So that's my opinion on the handshake. I don't think it's that hard. And like I said, I don't want to go too far with this, but I think you could really I don't know, and I know Nebraska's trying to become a program and become a group of guys that is confident, right? And this exudes confidence. Hey, we're going to win the football game. We're going to put it all on the line today because we're not, and we don't like you, or we're not going to shake your hands. I just think that energy is not channeled in the right direction. So I do not agree with what Nebraska did.
I love the legacy of this time slot that we are in, that so many people in the YouTube comment section are saying, I want to shake your hand.
I want to shake your hand.
First and foremost.
Yeah, where's that drop for today?
It's probably in there somewhere. I agree with you that
shake your hand.
A lot of it feels performative in a way that probably doesn't match anyone's true feelings about anything. I just cannot muster.
I'm not mad.
Caring about this at all.
I'm not mad. Don't put it on the internet that I'm mad.
No.
I'm not
especially after one school pepper sprayed another school this weekend. I cannot muster caring about a handshake happening or not happening.
Headley writes in, Connor, our team had the flu the week prior. Perhaps they were simply being good Samaritans and saving the children.
Yeah. Stop the spread.
Stop the spread. I watch that happen, and whenever it happens in sports, and I just kind of cringe a little bit. I think it's cringy. I think it's corny, and I think it's fake tough. And I don't. It's like I said, it's antiquated, right? So they choreograph these touchdown celebrations, or they have ideas. It almost feels like something you do explicitly because if and when you win the football game, it would look hard in your hype video or whatever.
If you're going to do it, you better win.
I just think that is the stupidest thing.
This is going to look great on Chasing 3, guys. We won't shake their hand, and then we'll win. And it'll be a great little cut montage.
And if they would have won, they would have put it on the thing afterwards, and it would have been like, yeah, but your boss is back in town, daddy's home, that kind of thing. And I just it's all for show. It's just for show. Like I said, it's fake tough.
Once again, I'm just a boy on the radio asking Nebraska to stop filming everything.
Seriously. I think there would be something that there could be something gained by that, Josh.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. By the way, Eric writes in, too bad there won't be another episode because they lost again.
That's one of the reasons.
Yeah, and then there was the other thing before the handshake even happened, and it was the prayer on the midfield again.
The National Guard protecting the midfield logo.
See, that one I don't get, because that one's not performative, I don't think. That is not a performative action by Nebraska, just going to the midfield logo. Hey, we just got here. We walked onto the field. We're going to take our weekly walk around, because that's what you do when you get to the field. Everybody gets off the bus and they go straight to the field before they put their junk in the locker room. And, somebody calls them all together and they say, hey, meet right here. Let's pray for a second. That's not performative. That's just a place where you meet.
Can I ask a serious question?
Yes.
How do SIDs not email each other like, hey, here's our pregame routine? Don't get pissy when we huddle around the 50-yard line on your midfield logo and do a prayer pregame. Yeah. We're not trying to be disrespectful. It's just what coach likes to do.
Yeah.
And then at the 47.5-minute mark, we'll start
maybe this needs to be
high
communicated.
knees on the sideline.
Maybe you're right. Maybe this needs to be communicated.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Feels preventable that on Saturday we all get here and like, oh, what's going on? Whoa, they do this every week. Why are they mad? What's the National Guard out here?
John writes in on Twitter.
Hi, John.
On the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed, biggest non-story ever. Change the subject already. College kids. Literally no one gives a crap. Yeah. I don't know. People had strong opinions on it over the weekend.
You emailed the show.
People had strong opinions on it over the weekend, so and I think I have a sort of different opinion than some, it seems, because it just feels like everybody's going into full defense mode at this point, and I'm just like, I just really can't defend, and I'm not interested in defending that. We get a text here. Looked like fake tough guys taking after their fake tough guy head coach. Period. The end.
A lot of discourse this weekend about Matt Rule being a fake tough guy all of a sudden.
Let me add this. I think, I don't know. I'm not by any means, don't put it on the internet that I'm trying to put this on Scott Frost. But
I'm excited for what you're about to say.
Nebraska's last head coach was a definite fake tough guy.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's a fake tough guy.
That's a fake tough guy. Right? So I think a lot of the older players, that's been it was one of the things that Frost tried to bring back to Nebraska was the attitude that they had in the 90s, which was like, we're the baddest MFers out here and we got to tell people about it. And we're going to hit the hardest. So we're going to do this. Or we're going to do this. We're going to do this.
I'm going to put a mini gourd in your locker if I think you're being soft.
I think Rule has probably a little bit of that to him, right? He's definitely a motivational speech giver.
Yes.
I think Rule has a little bit of that to him, but I don't know. It's a thing inside the program.
Get it out.
And the coach is the leader of the program. That's for sure. Text from the 402.
Hi, 402.
Having to pray at midfield is stupid. Your God can hear you anywhere. Interesting.
Well,
can your God hear you anywhere?
I will not put that on the poll. Probably right there.
Michael writes in.
Hi, Michael.
Hey, if you guys want to talk about something good, talk about Nebraska basketball. Football is over for me at this point. Nebraska basketball, as usual, is undervalued by some in the media as an afterthought to these boys in blue, Creighton Blue Jays. And guess what? This year, NE basketball will finish better with a better record than Creighton. Creighton is done. They have zero rhythm, out of sync. SINK. Their players do not mesh well and complement each other at all on the court. Ryan Kalk is all bark and zero bite, and they will be ran out of chide this week with their feathers tucked between their legs and quarter zips pulled over their heads in shame. Creighton is at best an NIT team, and Nebraska, if they continue to play at this level, will be a first four-in team. Wait a minute. Give them props. There's
what a weird
Michael, as long as you understand that there's like literally no difference between an NIT team and a first four team, then sure.
I agree with a lot of the things that the texter said. Also have fun in East Lansing on Saturday.
Oh, I see. I don't know. Hey, Josh, careful.
Michigan State greater than North Florida.
Yeah, but I don't know that Michigan State's that good either.
And Frankie Fiddler and them boys.
And they're definitely never that good at the beginning of the season.
Well, that's true.
They're always better at the end because remember, they have Tom Izzo. January, February, Izzo.
Well, how's the rest of the year go? Like, does Izzo pop up a couple times throughout the year, or just that one month?
It's just Izzo.
Okay.
Izzo is March. Jason writes in via email before we get to Schaefer here.
Hi, Jason.
My thing is, if a man approaches you with a handout, it's pretty damn weird to stand there and just look at him. And I 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree.
It takes.
I would shake anyone's hand.
How many fake handshakes have you given in your life?
A billion.
Yes.
A billion. It's like, just shake the guy's hand.
Oh, nice to meet you. It is not nice to meet you. You say nice to meet you to everyone you meet because it's just something you do. And then it's over, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, but we want to show the world that we're tough, and we want to show the world that we're badass and that we mean business and all that stuff. Just play football, right? And Nebraska helped. Nebraska started that game well.
Very well.
Very well. Didn't finish it. All right. So that's my handshake meme or handshake meme gate. If you'd like to, I probably won't talk about it anymore. So you can just go back and listen to that segment on the podcast. We talk about it for enough time, probably. All right. Mike Schaefer is going to join the show next. We'll see what he knows about the movement today and what might come next for Nebraska in the next few weeks. We'll be back after this with Mike Schaefer on 1620 The Zone.
Here come the Guardians.
Yeah, I have statistics to back up that we have people that listen.
Mike Schaefer.
Anytime there's sort of a debate as to who can do something, Happer would always put his name forth.
For sure.
Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I could be a star.
Oh, man. We have a lot of ground to cover here with our dear friend Mike Schaefer of Husker 247, where you can find all your latest news on a variety of different topics. Schaefer, thanks for joining us. What's up?
Oh, not a ton. Just signing days on Wednesday. Nebraska's got coaching news all over the place. The transfer portal has started. Could we have a busier week? I don't know. The entire offseason condensed into 5 days. Let's see what happens.
Well, this will also be, really just the next 4 weeks in general, all the way until the transfer portal closes, which I think is December 28th, right?
Yeah, yes and no. So I think this is basically the ground zero of the off season, because what happens is, yes, the portal opens, but a lot of your guys are entering the portal this week. Your exit interviews are this week. And then there's going to be some coverage of who Nebraska's trying to get out of the portal, some coaching coverage, all of that stuff. But it feels like your biggest news, the biggest stuff is sort of happening in the next 5 days, whether that be the high school guys that they're trying to flip and sign, whether that be trying to retain players, whether that be, getting to the bottom of the Tony White, Florida State situation, everything of that regard. Yeah, there's stuff that's going to be happening on December 17th. It just is going to pale in comparison to December 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So it'll be wild here.
Definitely drinking out of the fire hose for the next couple of days here. All right. So speaking of Tony White, it's been widely reported by many that he's headed off to be the Florida State defensive coordinator. What's the latest on that? And obviously the next question is, what happens as a result of that? Is anybody going with him?
Well, I can't speak to the second part, which I feel like is a little premature because the first part isn't done yet. So it does seem like everything is headed for Tony White to be part of Florida State staff. We don't have confirmation. I talked a lot with our Florida State people. They don't have confirmation that this is a done deal. It's all headed this direction, but no one has quite confirmed it on that sense of it. I know there's reports out there, but there's still some skepticism that it's officially done. And then as far as the other aspect of it, Tony White, let's say he does leave, do Nebraska assistants go with him? I feel like that's a little premature too, because while I think Nebraska was prepared for Tony White to leave, I do think that they would make very, very competitive offers to keep coaches, to, have an opportunity to try to keep a Terrence Knight and all of that sort of thing. So to me, sometimes when you see stuff like that, it feels a lot like in recruiting when we talk about package deals of recruits. It always sounds like this is how things are going to play out, but then real negotiations and everything have to take place too. Is
there any because this was the next thing that people were asking us, are there any players that are attached to Tony White so closely at the hip that you would be watching for them over the next couple days? Obviously, you don't want to speculate in that category too much, but I do think people need to be on the watch for that over the next couple days.
Yeah, I think he's a really popular assistant coach. I think that there's an opportunity or a chance that he, is someone that people would want to play for. I think of it more from the recruiting aspect, and I can't think of a signee where, yep, definitely going to follow Tony White. Here's the thing. They have to also be invited. You're on Nebraska's roster doesn't necessarily mean you can make Florida State. You fit what they wanted to do here in the Big Ten doesn't necessarily mean that's what they would want in the ACC. So it's one of those kind of more wait and see. Stephon Thompson ended up at Syracuse after Tony White had been at Nebraska for a year. So it could be, we could have these discussions. They might make more sense a year from now with guys in Nebraska's defense that's younger. But, I don't want to, just as an example, and I don't know why I'm choosing this name, but let's just go with it. I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, Keona Davis is definitely leaving to go to Florida State. There's no way that,
I can't say that with any degree of certainty. I don't believe anyone can. I don't think Keona Davis could say that. And I don't know that means I regret using him because people are going to take it as he's someone that's going to leave. But it's just an example of the type of player that we'd be talking about.
No doubt about it. Mike Schaefer of Husker 24/7. So the other thing that people wonder about when something like this happens is why, right? What ultimately led to Tony White leaving to take another defensive coordinator spot when everyone sort of thought, well, if he wasn't going to be here in 2025, he was going to be as a head coach somewhere.
Yeah, I have like so many different thoughts firing in my brain right now. I mean, there was portions of the season, and this is largely just having a message board where people are just mad all the time.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I mean, it's a 6-6 team that shouldn't have been 6-6. I'm not trying to say that people shouldn't have been mad, but there was also a fair amount of, Tony White's not as good as we think he is and all of this. And now it's the reverse of how dare this guy leave for another program, which usually tells you someone's doing something right when you get both of those. But I think that this is just a situation where maybe, 2 years with Matt Rule has kind of run its course. I don't know. I don't have the exact answer here. I remember having a conversation with you about Dana Holgorsen and Phil Snow and being baffled about if I was Tony White, how I would feel about Matt Rule's longtime defensive coordinator confidant coming in as an analyst for a defense that he doesn't run, that you kind of, largely tell everyone on the outside that you're letting Tony White run all of these things. So to me, from that point forward, things just felt off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have backroom conversations with these guys at this point in time. I haven't talked to Tony White individually about any of this, so I'm not going to be able to take you through it. I'm just speculating. It felt weird the moment that happened. Something has felt off from, before then because something precipitated it. But since then, I have not expected Tony White to be back. One, because I thought he was going to have an opportunity to potentially be a head coach. Two, because that just felt weird to me in that moment. That, we were all focused on Dana Holgorsen, but the Phil Snow thing was bizarre and remains bizarre. And I know Nebraska has the opportunity to bring in any coaches and have analysts and extra set of eyes and fresh eyes and whatever. I just felt like there's something more to it. And that's the best answer I have right now. That's not good enough for people, and I understand that. But I'm not going to sit here and just speculate randomly about everything. I know for me personally, when that happened, I just went, that doesn't fit how everything else fits.
That's the way I described it earlier too. Something was off. and I'm glad you pinpointed that moment because that's about when it was too. And then people looked at the defense this year and they're like, well, maybe they didn't reach the top end of what they thought. Maybe that soured the relationship or whatever a little bit. I don't know. The question is now, does Matt Rule have a pretty good idea, knowing that he felt like this was probably going to happen one way or the other with Tony White, where he might go with the next person in charge of his defense?
Yeah, I mean, we've been basically sort of guessing at this for months now, but since John Butler was hired, I mean, I heard back in the summer, I put this out there yesterday when I wrote about Tony White and what we were hearing, that basically the thing with Matt Rule is he doesn't want to just hire a coordinator he's never worked with. He'd like to spend time with someone on a staff to see how they tick. Hiring John Butler in the summer to replace Evan Cooper, a guy who has defensive coordinator aspirations, has always felt like Nebraska had its next defensive coordinator in their back pocket. But then when you bring in Phil Snow in November, is he a possibility here? Is your, upshot young linebackers coach and Rob Dvorak, who's been fantastic for 2 years, does he get a look? I mean, I think they have internal options if Tony White were to leave. I think they have external things that they could do if Tony White were to leave. But it's hard for me to imagine the conversation doesn't start with John Butler. I imagine John Butler is a big part of all of this. I would imagine Nebraska is not surprised by what is happening or caught off guard by what is happening. And to me, should it be John Butler, it sure seems like they prepared for this back in July.
Yeah. I mean, that was, we talked about it even at the time, right, Schaefer? It was like, kind of seems like that might be your DC in waiting. We just maybe didn't expect it to play out this way. Schaefer, over on the website, you wrote about 5 guys that you sort of highlighted here before signing day on Wednesday. Obviously, a few of them are still, 2 of them, I guess, are committed to other places at this point, and a couple of them are uncommitted as well. Where does Nebraska stand on a couple of these late targets as we head into Wednesday?
Yeah, I don't want to give everything away, so people who want to check it out, Husker 24/7, please feel free to do that. We got a great deal going on, if you need extra encouragement there. But I will talk about Michael Terry. I think this is a really unique situation. Smart money, house money, all of that says it's Texas, and yet I talked to enough people, both involved from the Nebraska end of it and involved in covering it, and it's like, why hasn't the Texas kid just commit to the program that is about to make another? They could win the SEC. They're about to make another college football playoff in a row. You could argue they're the best positioned college football program right now for the next X amount of years because of what their quarterback situation is, the financial situation they have with NIL. Their head coach seems like it's a good fit. The SEC seems like it's ripe for a turnover. Why hasn't Michael Terry just made that announcement yet? Or why isn't there more confidence that that's exactly what he's going to do? And so I think partly because Nebraska's been in his ear. I think there's and it's unlikely, but I think there's a chance that there could be a signing day surprise. And we'll see how that plays out. I mean, I think Nebraska took their best shot. Garrett McGuire has been heavily involved in that recruitment. I know that people think that Nebraska is going to move on from him. I think that he's going to be involved in this thing because of his recruiting skills, some way, somehow, going forward. And he's done a really good job. And Matt Rule has done a great job with the family. And the Raiolas have been involved there. And I'm sure that he's hearing from a bunch of other recruits. So I think that's kind of the thing to watch. I mean, you got Cortez Mills. I feel good about where Nebraska is going in that direction. Chase Lofton could be a fascinating situation. Seems like Nebraska locked down some guys that were looking or hearing from other schools. Michael Terry III is sort of the big one on Wednesday. Again, probably Texas, but there is that small part of your brain that's like, what if Nebraska just pulls off the biggest signing day surprise that none of us saw coming? And that's sort of where we're at.
You can check all those updates out on Husker 247. They will be flying throughout the week. Schaefer, appreciate you taking a minute for us. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for not asking me about handshakes because I do not care.
I figured you didn't, and that's why I didn't. Scouting reports.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See you, Schaefer.
Yeah.
That's Mike Schaefer, Husker 247. So the other thing to watch out for now, and I sort of characterize it as the next month. And Schaefer was like, yeah, well, it's going to be really over the next, week here. But the other thing that hasn't happened yet, and that will begin to happen this week, and then next week, and then after the playoff again, head coach removals. We didn't even factor that into the equation yet. We talked about staff, so we're going to be changing, and people need to hire offensive and defensive coordinators and make splashes. And
a lot of people got fired this weekend.
Ryan Walters out at Purdue after just 2 seasons. That was a train wreck. They got absolutely killed by Indiana. Imagine getting killed by Indiana. Couldn't be me.
Wait.
I mean, that was a mess this year for Purdue. He's out. So that's a Big Ten job that's already open. Will there be more Big Ten jobs that are open? What's going to happen with Ohio State? And then what will be the trickle down sort of effect of that? If Ohio State, they have such a small window. It's so fascinating because they're likely going to have a playoff game. They're certainly going to have a playoff game coming. They're not going to the Big Ten championship game, but the noise is just so loud, and it's just hard to get over that. Losing to Michigan 4 times in a row, and this one in particular as a 3-touchdown favorite on your home field, fights and pepper spray and all that stuff. So what do you do with Ryan Day? And if you do decide to move on, where do you go? And what head coach around the country, nationally relevant head coach around the country, will that displace from their job? It
doesn't have to be a domino.
It's fascinating. Well, what do you saying? Go back to Urban?
Mike Vrabel is available.
Be Vrabes? Yeah. Be Vrabes? Wonder how people would feel about that.
I think they'd love it, right?
I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know. Ohio State wants the best.
They do.
They want the best of the best of the best. But so all that, I mean, that's still going to have a decision here in the next few weeks as well. Fascinating stuff. All right, we'll be back. Josh has the odd news when we return. Don't forget the top 5 polls of the month of November are coming up at 12:45 today, so stay tuned for that. We'll be back with the odd news though next on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right, Josh, hit me with that odd news. I've been missing it. It was a long weekend.
What a weekend it was.
I heard nothing about truck spills or anything of that nature.
Well, these are all pretty sportsy.
Okay.
Today, story we probably won't be able to get to in our show today with all the
Caitlin Clark thing.
Rigmarole. Oh, definitely no time for that today. I can guarantee it. Andrew Luck returning to Stanford to become the team's general manager.
Really?
Yes, he's gonna. It sounds like he's gonna pick the players and the coaches, which is a weird position.
Does that make him in charge of everything?
Yes. A groundbreaking move for the Stanford program, and with his return came a bonus surprise for us plebes on social media: the return of the Captain Andrew Luck Twitter account.
Oh, I'm excited. Luck told ESPN.
The account, which had been silent since December of 2023, made its comeback shortly after the announcement with a post written in the voice of Luck's imagined Civil War era persona.
Pretty funny. Good account.
Dearest mother, the battleground is called for my glorious return. I'm thrilled to say I shall heed that call. I have re-enlisted. While my sidearm is permanently holstered, I shall help train other young men to be great soldiers. Please send care packages of squirrel oil and skunk cakes to our base camp at Stanford. I love you, Andrew.
I still don't know the origin story of why that account came into existence. Like, what is the connection between?
I mean, it's just that he looks like a Civil War general.
He does?
Yeah, right?
He just looks like a guy.
I mean, a lot of guys look that way nowadays.
You put anybody in a old Civil War hat, they look like a old Civil War general.
I think he's got the facial hair for it, though.
He just looks like a guy to me.
Okay.
I like the account, though. It's funny.
It's back.
Live Stanford.
A lot of things happened in the Arizona State-Arizona game over the weekend. Pitchforks, tridents, feuds.
Trident?
How
did he get a trident?
University of Arizona defensive assistant headbutting a player while wearing a helmet.
Did Brick get a trident?
Chuck Cecil, senior defensive assistant with the Wildcats, was hyping one of his guys up pregame. He grabbed cornerback Owen Goss's helmet and slammed it against his own head to Now, I don't know if you know this, Connor. Defensive assistants don't wear helmets.
That's right.
So when the whole bit was done, there was blood trickling down his face, and many went, "Oh my gosh, how could a human being do this?" Unfamiliar with Chuck Cecil's 35-year history of roaming the sidelines and doing that exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it happened, and people went, "Oh my gosh, how you're a psychopath."
It's football man does crazy thing.
Yep.
Yeah. We've seen this over the years with assistant coaches. Every staff has to have the psycho guy.
One guy's got to be the crazy guy.
There's a couple, I think, on Nebraska staff, but probably names that you don't know. Like assistant position coaches or strength and conditioning coaches or whatever. But everybody's got the psycho guy. Everybody's got the guy with the way too tight shirt, showing off his guns.
I wear a schmedium and I'm proud.
Chest bumping people, pushing people, headbutting people, carrying around a sledgehammer for some reason. No idea what that guy's doing. But every football staff's got to have that guy. It's usually the strength and conditioning coordinator. It's usually the strength and conditioning coach. And in Nebraska's case, their strength and conditioning coach is a badass.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not Corey Campbell. He's not like terribly out in front, although he does lead them out of the he doesn't lead them out of the tunnel, like the final tunnel walk, but maybe like the second to last tunnel walk, like when they're going to
so
stretch it out on the field.
So many walks.
They walk out of that tunnel like 6 times. That's what people don't realize. But only one of them is called the tunnel walk. You got to have a crazy guy.
That's right.
Always.
And finally, we go to the state of South Carolina, where, a lot of rivalry games ended with midfield fracases.
Yep.
South Carolina Clemson, no different. Banner day for the Gamecocks on Saturday, rolling into rival Clemson and coming away with a 17-14 win, capping off a 7-game win streak to end the season for South Carolina.
Speaking of that, I have not put together picks from this weekend.
I was just about to say, I believe one brave man had the audacity to pick South Carolina.
Hey, my boys, Lenora Sellers.
Mm-hmm.
I forget their running back.
Not a great start.
I was going to go on a run like I did with Arkansas.
Yes.
Nick Harbor is a receiver for them.
Okay.
And then I can't remember their running back's name. Damn it.
Well, you look that up, and I'll tell you that after the win, the keepers of South Carolina's live animal mascot,
Rocket Sanders.
Rocket Sanders?
Yeah,
what a great name.
Raheem Rocket Sanders. He transferred from Arkansas.
It always comes back to Arkansas.
It always does.
Sir Big Spur was
Sir Big Spur?
Yes.
Is that their mascot?
They have 2 mascots. They have a live mascot, which is a live gamecock, obviously, and then they have
Cocky.
They have Cocky. Yes. The live game mascot, Sir Big Spur, was allowed to wander out to midfield, where he defecated on the Clemson paw logo.
Oh no!
And wandered off.
Now, was he told to do that? Was he hired?
It is believed that this is purposeful, as the handlers had him on a leash of some kind the entire time, and did not walk away until he had done his business.
Look at that
on the paw print.
That's how you do it.
That is how you do it.
That's how you do it. None of this, I'm going to walk up to them and not shake their hands or, plant a flag on midfield. Just send your little chicken out there and have them crap all over the field.
That is a rivalry.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
That is hatred.
Send in the chicken. And nobody's going to bother the chicken. No. They're like, oh, look at that cute little chicken. He's just on the field and he's crapping. We're not going to do anything about it. It's a cute little chicken. Yeah. But he actually means it. He means it in a very negative way. He's trying to send a message.
It's a spiteful crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just what chickens do. No, in this case, it is not what chickens do.
It is a message to you, Clemson.
That's how you do it.
And you still got in the ACC title game, even though you got your logo crapped on.
That's right. That's right. That's the advantage to not playing a conference opponent in the final week of the regular season.
That's right.
Screw conference realignment. The only thing that conference realignment gave us back this weekend was Texas and Texas A&M. And for that, I'm only mildly thankful because it wasn't a good game at all.
It was not. Interesting.
Texas just
A&M
rolled
did not
over.
Try at all.
Texas A&M got rolled by Texas. I really thought that they were going to win or give them a run at least.
Thought it would be at least a competitive half of football. It was not.
Not really.
No,
not really. All right. Noon hour is coming up. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
We will have the top 5 poll questions of the month of November. That way, emailer John won't have to say, hey, it's December. Come on. Give us the top 5 polls. So we'll have those coming up.
I'm working on it.
At 12:45 today. Josh is putting together the list as we speak. We're still open for you all, but we do need to talk about all of the things in college football this weekend. The fighting, the Ohio State of it all, the Michigan of it all, the Gus Johnson of it all. We will dive into it when we return here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
You know, even though Nebraska lost to Iowa, they still get to go to a bowl game. Even though they didn't shake their hands, they still get to go to a bowl game. It's the bowl game blowout, $15K giveaway on 1620 The Zone. Enter to win big money this holiday season with $15,000. And you can enter to win that contest on our website, the home of many contests, 1620thezone.com.
Get you some cash.
A lot of stuff today. Tony White looks like he is off to Florida State. Gabe Ervin is the first into the portal for Nebraska as a graduate transfer. There's so many things coming up this week. There will be a signing day press conference on Wednesday in which not much probably will be about the signing day unless Nebraska gets some late flips here, which they are definitely in the running to do. We will have playoff volleyball this week here in our fine state. We will have Creighton in Kansas on Wednesday from the Chi. Creighton's been dying to host Kansas. You don't get many opportunities to host Kansas unless you're like the Maui Invitational or somewhere in the Caribbean. But here, or you're an aircraft carrier somewhere. But they're coming up to Omaha on Wednesday. Josh, you seem excited for it. You can't quite get there yet?
It is something Creighton has wanted for a very long time.
It's something everybody wants. You always want to host Kansas.
And now they have it, and it's, it's 48 hours before that, and I'm kind of like, I don't know.
Feels like maybe a bad time.
I don't know, guys.
Creighton, of course, coming off of a 1-2 performance at the Mega NIL tournament this past weekend with the win against Notre Dame, though, on Saturday. It was a long week for our dear friend John Bishop in Las Vegas. I sat within earshot of him when he called the Texas A&M game on Wednesday, and that was fun. I liked it. There was also probably about 2,000 people in the arena, and I think a lot of people could hear him. A lot of references to officials playing blackjack, things of that nature.
They had plenty of time. I believe the run time on that game was 3.5 hours.
It was but I'm sure Vegas was a very enjoyable experience if you were there for 7 entire days. We'll catch up with John on the crossover this afternoon. Let's take a phone call before we talk about the rest of the weekend in college football and elsewhere. Here is our dear friend, Random Mike. Hey, Mike, what's up?
I was at the Nebraska basketball games, women and men. I missed you, man.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was in Vegas by the pool.
Yeah, lots of good assists that were totally unrecognized by the announcer. They made you look really good. But, hey, the men's basketball team scoring 100 points. This doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't. It does not happen very often.
I think every one of their starters, correct me if I'm wrong, is a transfer.
Okay. So if you go through it, you got Berke, Mia, yes, Asij. Well, did Asij start last night? Because he has been kind of like the first guy off the bench type of guy.
Right. And he's a transfer. Yeah. The Berke, and what's the guy's name from Turkey?
Berke Büyüktüncel.
Berke.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. You are good. And he's really good. They're all transfers.
Yeah.
Boy, Asij, if you're good enough, they'll
Man, he has really added some shot making that I just didn't think he had.
Let me tell you, in the Creighton game, he was critical.
He was awesome. He was very good in that game.
And doing it without making the three. No, he's been fantastic. And Griffiths is a favorite of mine. Griffiths was the top Rutgers recruit in years, and probably the top recruit of all these transfers.
Well, until this year. Yeah.
But yeah, these transfers are all really good. And the point guard, we got 2 point guards that are good. And legitimate big men.
Both transfers in the point guard category as well, with Worcester and Euless.
Yeah, and Euless has gotten better, and Worcester is really good, don't you think? I mean,
yeah. No, he controlled Creighton. That's for sure.
But no, you were missed because there were a lot of great assists. But and let me ask you this about our currently our 2 coordinators or whatever. If you could only keep one, Holgerson or White, which one would you want to keep?
Probably Holgerson at this point, just because of that proven track record. For the record, I do think they're both very, very good at what they do.
No, I agree, but I also agree that it would probably be Holgerson. And look, I told you my New Year's resolution, and it's a good one. Every day, be thankful for the good things, and there are good things. Sometimes you got to search for them. And if you don't have something positive to say, shut the F up. And so basically I was going to shut the F up, but I can't do that.
That's okay.
But, yeah, you were missed. Things are looking bright. I wish Amy Williams would do better against Creighton, because it's not a good look, but Connie Yori never lost to Creighton, and Amy Williams almost always does.
Yeah, it's been a tough run for them against Creighton over the last few years, for sure.
But yeah, and I'm not sure we're going to keep Holgerson. Are you?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about much right now, but I would lean toward him being the offensive coordinator here next year.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing, and I really believe this is true. The good Dylan, which before he missed the wide open touchdown at Illinois, I mean, he was sensational. And I know, we were playing easier teams early, but if he's the good Dylan, we beat Illinois, we beat Southern Cal, we beat Ohio State, we beat UCLA. And what I'm saying is, if we had the good Dylan, I know he's a freshman and all that.
Yeah,
we're probably in the playoffs. That's the crazy thing with all the other issues we have on our team. But I think it's true.
That is definitely a rosy way to, like, you think he's going to make his natural progression into a sophomore year. This, the second season or the first full season under Holgerson, and we'll see what kind of weapons they're able to put around him. Yeah, he'll take a step for sure.
You got to think so, and certainly in the. Let me tell you what would have been even. Here's the bright side. Let's say Wisconsin has a really good game against us, and we have a good game against them, but we lose in a close game, and then the Iowa game is exactly what it turned out to be. Can you imagine how we'd feel now? Losing to Iowa, yeah, you hate to lose to Iowa, but we're still going to a bowl game. We get the extra practices, and yeah, it'll probably be a lesser bowl. But hey, I'm not going there, so it's not that big a deal for me. So
nice New Year's resolution, Mike. It's a good one.
That's the bright side, but you were missed. I promise you were missed.
Well, I'll be back tomorrow, so no need to fear.
All right, take care.
See ya. That's random Mike. Yeah, I think if that is almost a really terrifying thought. If Nebraska would not have beaten Wisconsin, if they would have played poorly against Wisconsin, I don't know how much confidence I would have in anything right now if Nebraska hadn't beat Wisconsin, and everything else turns out the same. That is a scary, scary thought. Nebraska's not going into a bowl game. The portal is opening up. The coaches are leaving. And right now, we would not be in a good spot if that was all still happening and Nebraska didn't have the safety net of going to a bowl game. Even though I'll listen to it, and I frankly subscribe to this idea. Phones are so jacked. I frankly subscribe to the idea that it is sort of disappointing. Like when you pull this, and this is a lot of what we'll do over the next couple of weeks. This season was kind of disappointing. I felt like Nebraska left a lot out there. I talked about it with Jack in the postgame show on Friday. You can of course listen to that on the Big Red Overreaction feeds. But this year is a push. It's a push. Coming back from Vegas, very familiar with those. You get dealt in blackjack. You get dealt 2 face cards right off the bat, and you're like, sweet. I pretty much have no chance to lose this. And then all of a sudden, that dealer flips over the queen or the face card, and then the rest of the cards get dealt out, and then she's also got a 10. They're like, damn it. I just wasted an incredible hand and got nothing to show for it. That's Nebraska football this year. It was a push. But it wasn't a bad beat, right? It wasn't a huge L. And I don't think it was a win either. But if they didn't have that safety net of a bowl game in their back pocket right now, it would feel a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse.
What's the vibe if you lose the bowl game and you end 6-7?
I don't know, because everything would have changed by that point. Everything by the time Nebraska takes the field again, whatever it be, day after Christmas, a couple days after Christmas, you're going to kind of have an idea of what next year's going to look like already. I don't know if Nebraska's next staff will be in place, but you'll have an idea. The guys who are going into the portal will be in the portal. Nebraska will be hot on the trails of other people who are entering the portal. Like you're going to have it'll almost be not finalized because there's another portal entry window in the spring, and you have to see how it all comes together. But you're going to have a pretty good idea on the feeling. So I always say that you only get the test, Josh, and it's still true. You only get the test, and in this case, you get an extra test. But this is a big test over the next couple weeks here. A lot's going to happen. A lot is going to happen.
It's going to happen quick, and you got to, if you're a player, you got to maintain your focus and make the most out of those 15 practices and the extra game.
Don't forget about those 15 practices. Whatever you do, don't forget about those 15 practices.
They won't let us forget about them.
All right, let's hit caller bingo today. Here we go. Back to the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Here's our friend Greg in Myrtle Beach. How was the Palmetto State showdown, Greg?
Damn, Lenora Sellers was incredible.
Good player.
Check out that mobility. He's got a jump, stop, and start. He pops out of the middle of the line against pressure like a cork from underwater. And once he gets fifth gear, Hap, he is fantastic. I don't know. You're going to see him on a lot of early season Heisman lists next year because he is the real deal. And they got his younger brother from Florence too. He's not a bad wide receiver. So,
okay, that's good to know.
Good things ahead for the Cox. I think they're the most improved team in the country. And when you look at that team, you got to remember they had a 102-yard interception return to put Bama away in Tuscaloosa. But one of the middle midgets on the line took a cheap shot at the quarterback 25 yards away, or they would have beaten DeBoer in Tuscaloosa.
Yep, that was a good game that went right down to the end too.
Yeah, I guess, buddy, me and you are gambling at the wrong tables because if this season is a push, yeah. And I listened to your Big Red underreaction, and last time we talked, I asked how much fecal football and crap coaching can we stand for, and I guess the answer is just even more because our guru from the NFL got outcoached again, and then so take a minute and dive deeper. And by the way, everything that Rule did at Baylor coincided with Texas being in the toilet. So what do we have now? Another middle school Rule close game disaster. Now for us, he's 1-9 in one-score games. And the hits just keep on coming because since 2020, he's now 1-25 in one-score games. That's 1-25. So that's 2 complete seasons of one-score losses in Rule's 5 years. Plus, he's 1 for November in 2 years for us in Lincoln. So I find it interesting, Hap, how the brainwashed media conveniently acts like Rule was coaching soccer in Charlotte. Wasn't he coaching football?
It was still football, Greg. Still football.
Yeah. So the updated facts are Iowa still owns and punks us. We have 0 second-half points, which I guess Phil Parker wasn't too damn intimidated by Dana Holgorsen, was he? So why don't we put down our Kool-Aid and objectively look around, and if you're stupid and asinine enough to call 6 wins against our crap schedule progress, then you're probably too dumb to watch football.
Not progress, Greg. Just not going backwards.
Yeah. So this year, guess what the record of the teams we beat was, Hap?
Oh boy. Oh no. Let's see. Colorado had a good record, right?
They sure did, and even factoring that in, the teams that we beat were 28 and 44.
Is that good?
I guess our brains are frozen. So and we're just going to keep tolerating this. And the biggest propaganda fraud of all that they're selling you now is that we made a bowl game and we got bowl practices. As I mentioned to you, 47 teams make bowl games. 94 teams make a bowl game. So it proves that we have no pride or standard. And the practices, sure, you get them, but they're coaches with Matt Rule. Their practices with Matt Rule coaching them.
But they haven't gone to a bowl game in any of the last 7 seasons, though. So now they get to it. I'm not saying it's like program changing or anything, but it was the next thing. And I'm disappointed by 6-6. You definitely left a whole bunch out there on the table, but like you take it compared to the alternative. That's what I'm saying.
I suppose, and if it's New York or Nashville, take a jacket. But so Iowa beat us again with a fourth team ex walk-on quarterback, and you never heard Ferentz use that as an excuse. And the quote of the day was, "We don't muff punts at Iowa." So Coach, explain to us from the X and O standpoint, Coach Rule, why didn't you give worthless turnstile Bryce Benhart any help chipping their D end with the game on the line? He's only had his ass kicked for 17 years, and we have 0 points in the second half. It's the fifth half this season with goose egg. So, and you listen to the presser half, and his constant BS mantra is, we got to get better. But none of his teams this decade have. Google it. The truth is they get worse, and Rule doesn't have the answers. If he did, wouldn't he fix it? And we're not better because you can't coach us any better. Lousy coaches lose to inferior teams. And we had 73 punt return yards, Hap. That's pretty good, isn't it? Oh, well, guess what? No, that 73 yards of punt return for the whole year. For the whole year. We averaged six punt return yards a game.
Ugh.
We had 3 more fumbles in the fourth quarter. And the truth is, I hate to say it, but Matt Rule is a fraud. And now if you're supporting this disgrace, you're part of the problem and suck just like he does. And you know, if you look back on your career, Hap, you played sports. I did too. I got a Final Four ring. The coaches that I hated the most at times in my life were the ones who told me the truth about what I had to do to get better and what we had to do to win and how much I may not have even liked it. And you may not have liked it. But when you get perspective and you get older, you look back on it and you go, hey, the guy told me something that hurt me at the time, but it's true. And that's what I'm telling you, the truth.
You're right about that.
Hate it.
Yes.
Yeah, I hate it. The guy just doesn't have the goods. It's the Leon Bridges song. Anything that has anything to do with Matt Rule, the bet ain't worth the hand. And I appreciate your show. I constantly say that we would like to have a football program half as good as your show. But after watching that, another Iowa debacle and another nut kick, I guess we're just going to have to belly up and tolerate this crap until we can buy him out. But Super Trev put us in a $62 million buyout right now. So best of luck on that, too. And I appreciate your show.
All right. Thanks, Greg. Good to talk to you. Well, I'm sure we'll be chatting again soon. Matt Rule's a fraud.
Oh, I thought he called him a frog.
I thought he called him a frog too.
Ribbit.
So, I was looking at that one score game stat here. So he's obviously including some Carolina stuff. At Nebraska, that's
still football, by the way.
At Nebraska, it's 2 wins in 1 score games. They won one this year against Rutgers. Remember the win against Rutgers?
I do remember.
And they technically won. A 1 score game is 8 points or less, right? They won by 8 against Northwestern last year. So they're at Nebraska. Rule is, let's see here, 0-1, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4, 1-5, 1-6, 2-6, 2-7, 2-8, 2-9, 2-10. 2-10. So half the games are 1 score games, and he's lost 80% of them so far in the 1 score game category.
But he's won 20% of them, Connor.
That's right. His record in his career, his being Matt Rule, in 1 score games is now 14-29, which is better than 20%.
Hello.
Not that much better than 20%, but better than 2. Actually, you want to math that for me, Josh? 14. Hang on. I can't do simple math. I have to do it over the calculator. 14 plus 29 is 43 games. And if you've won, how many did I say? 14? Up. 14 divided by 43. That's 33%.
That's a third.
Yeah, that's also not good enough for the record. John writes in on the Twitter.
Hi, John.
Greg should consider smoking cigarettes. Maybe it'll calm him down.
Okay.
All right. Ethan writes in.
Hi, Ethan.
I love your show. 3 seconds after turning it on, getting in my truck, I hear Matt Rule is a fraud. Might be time for a little sports talk radio breaky break.
Oh, no, you need to lock in, Ethan.
This is a bad time to be taking a breaky break, that's for sure. We're still going to have our fun. Don't worry.
You'll turn the radio on in 6 hours and be like, oh, my gosh, what did I miss? Everything, Ethan. Everything.
Tom writes in.
Hi, Tom.
This guy needs a Snickers. Does Greg and Myrtle Beach need a Snickers?
You're not you when you're hungry.
That's right. All right, we're ripping off phone calls now. Let's go to Brian on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Hi, Brian. Good afternoon. What's up?
Good. Oh, not much. Hey, I love that call from Greg in Myrtle Beach. He hit it square there. Just Nebraska fans seem like they're in denial that we're good and we're not. We're a 6-win team. Now we're a 6-win team. Sick of hearing Matt Rules keep saying we need to get better. We need to get better. But when you hear that week after week after week, he doesn't know how to get better. He doesn't know how to fix it. So, I mean, I don't know why everybody gets so offended by a call from Greg in Myrtle Beach when he's just telling you like it is. I mean, you've seen this time after time. I mean, I guess I don't know what everybody else is, the fan base is seeing that I'm not.
Yeah. See, Brian,
that this is going to trend upwards, what I'm trying to say.
Okay. And Brian, do you have anything else? We'll let you go. I do want to respond to that.
No, I'll let you go. That's all I had.
Okay. Appreciate the call. So this is sort of what we were trying to get to the bottom of on Friday night. And here's a much better forum because we have unlimited time now to do so over the next several weeks. I'm just trying to figure out where people are at. I don't get the sense that anybody, shouldn't say anybody. I don't get the sense that the majority of people are still like gung ho. We have to blindly believe. I believe that this is good. Like this will be good. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust the process. Like I don't think anybody's there anymore. And
I don't think so.
And that's what I think. That's what Brian's point was. Is like I don't understand what you're seeing that I'm not. I think some people just have a general disposition that's like, yeah, I want to believe. I want to believe. Like I said, I don't think you could look at what's happened over the last 2 years and say definitively that this is going to work.
A lot of the shine is worn off.
And each of the last two callers have both said, I don't think Rule has the answers. I don't think Rule has the answers either. I think he's trying to find them. I think he's trying to press buttons to get there. And I think if you asked him and you got him in a real moment of truth, he would be like, well, we're going to roll our dice now that I've been here for 2 years. We are making changes. Things will of course change around us. We have our quarterback going into the second year, and we also now have a gigantic turnover on the defensive side of the ball. And obviously the reaction to that is, well, the defense has been really good over the last 2 years. Why can that be spun as a good thing? I think Rule is probably pretty excited to see what development has been going on behind the scenes with some of the guys that he recruited, and not just like, oh, we need to wait for Rule to get his guys in. That's not the point that I'm trying to make here. But the defense has been completely filled with 4th, 5th, and 6th year guys for the last 2 years. And oftentimes, I mean, hell, we can go back to the USC game and how Nebraska lost it. Obviously, the offense wasn't good enough, but the defense let 2 interceptions just go right through their hands, or Tommy Hill misplaying a ball, like older veteran guys not making plays when it's time to make plays. And I'm not saying that it's absolutely going to get better with the next wave of players, but I think there's probably an excitement from the coaching staff that they are excited to see what they can do, what their ceiling is now that there is a little bit of a turnover and you're allowed to kind of find that next wave of guys that you're going to actually play on the football field on Saturdays. That's as good of a pitch that I guess I can come up with. I'm not super gung ho about it right now.
We'll get there by August. Don't worry, everybody.
When Rule says, "Hey, we're going to do it. We're going to get it done." Like I appreciate the confidence, but I don't think anybody could sit there and be like, "Yeah, I believe that guy." So I guess, like, for the last two callers who have called in and been like, "I don't get what people are. Or when are we going to stop putting up for this?" Like, I think next year is a big year for Matt Rule.
It's got some elements of make or break.
But I'm by no means saying that, now is the time where you got to look around and start, firing people. Like, no, we're not there yet. But you definitely have to start taking steps. That's for sure. Okay. All right. Let's take a phone call here. It's Nebraska ball Mike on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Hi, Mike. Good to hear from you.
Hello. John Bullock has to be the sickest man in America.
John Bullock has to be the sickest man in America. Indeed.
Yes, he does, because if you stop that swing pass, we're not talking about a loss, are we?
Probably not. That was certainly the offensive play that got him into the game. Even then, Nebraska had a chance, but yeah, that changed the game for sure.
I flipped on Sipple for 5 seconds, and they're losing their minds. John Bullock is not, or John Bullock. John New England is not the answer, because the secondary sucked, and we're going to put that guy out front now.
I don't know if he's going to be the defensive coordinator or not, Mike. I'm not sure.
First of all, here's the thing. I don't think the 3-4 will work again, because we had two guys that were over 300 pounds, and the odds of finding a guy 330 and a guy 310 at that height aren't very good. Not here. So I don't know what they're going to do. And Uncle Don, you better fix your line, because your nephew's getting killed.
Yeah.
Period. Now, the other part is we got to figure out who's leaving.
We're going to hear a lot about that over the next 2 weeks.
And one of them better not be Ja'Cory Barney.
Agreed on that one.
Whatever we do, we've got to keep him. We've got to keep a couple of tight ends, but everybody else, you're for a game. We got to fix this line, and we got to figure out if this defense will work.
Mike, I figured you'd be excited about Nebraska ball and the way they've started this season.
I will ask, first of all, why do we always have to start at Michigan State?
It does feel like it happens a lot.
Okay? Is this team an NCAA tournament team? Because they look really good right now.
Yeah, they do. They do look really good right now. I don't know. It'll be close. They'll have to go, 500 or so in the Big Ten. And
I don't see it, but I didn't see beating Creighton by 15 points either. So I don't know.
Who knows? And I don't know what Creighton's going to be. Maybe Creighton's not going to hold up for you, Mike. That's the bad part about it.
I'm fine with that.
It might hurt Nebraska's resume, though.
If we get 20, we don't worry about a resume.
Probably. I don't know.
Not in this league.
You got to get the right ones.
We'll know. I think we'll know in about another month.
Getting close.
Good. I like
closer.
the chemistry of them right now.
Yeah, me too. Hey, so there's a lot to watch. Don't freak out too much over the next couple weeks, okay?
Well, it's not when your nephew is the starting quarterback, your job is to save him so that he doesn't have to peel himself off the ground 5 times a game, and you ought to know that.
Donnie, got to get the offensive line better.
Or Donnie, Dom's his dad. Why did I do that?
That's okay.
Donnie, you ought to know that, and you don't.
You don't think they're going to get better?
They could, but they should have already done that knowing he was coming in.
All right, Mike. Well, it's good to hear from you.
I'm around.
All right. See ya. All right. So we've definitely hit caller bingo.
And then some.
Gregor Myrtle Beach, Random Mike, Nebraska ball Mike, Brian. Oh, Riss is triggered Bob.
Yeah.
For this show anyway. All right. We'll take a call on the other side. I do want to talk about other football, but you guys want to talk about this?
When are we going to laugh about Ryan Day?
Yeah, this is an avenue for you all. All right. We're going to have time. Don't worry. A lot of time until Nebraska plays their next football game. And then there's a lot of time after that, Josh. We are officially in, if we find a topic and it's going, you go with it.
That's right.
Season.
We're not getting off the exit ramp.
Got to be a better name for that. All right, we'll take another call on the other side. More from you and from us here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I'm sad.
Seems to be a common sentiment. Turns out Big Red Overreaction was just a show to get me prepared for this show. Welcome back. It's Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. And a reminder to you all to join the VIP club and sign up for 1620 The Email. You'll be the first to know about all the exciting things that are happening here at 1620 The Zone. Nick's vlogs from Vegas are getting all wrapped up. They'll be out soon.
Will they?
Or the one will be out soon. I don't know, soon-ish. I mean, it's got to be within the next week, right?
One would think.
There's content. And the way to know about it is to get it straight to your inbox. Sign up today, 1620thezone.com. Back to the phones, 42 Degrees Source Hotline. Here's Roger. Hey, Roger, what's going on?
I just was thinking that the Myrtle Beach boy might need a big bag of marijuana. Maybe that would help him.
Somebody said cigarettes, and now you're saying marijuana.
Yeah, the cigarettes wouldn't help him chill. The marijuana, I think, would. But anyway, the question I have for all these people that are so down on Rule is, you want to fire the guy already? I mean, what do we do then? I mean, we got to buy out this that's incredible, and then who do we hire? I just think that's pretty stupid. I don't understand it, really. I can understand some frustration, but let's get rid of our coach.
Correct.
Kind of crazy.
That would be crazy, Roger. That would be insane.
That's nuts. I think Holgerson is that's a hope there. He's done some good things, and I think if we can keep our quarterback around and build around that, there's a chance to have a pretty good year next year.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my thought.
Roger, thank you for the call. We live in an all or nothing society. I'm blaming society for this one, Josh. Blame Society was a bit I used to play on my old radio show. As I go on these pedestals every once in a while, or I get up on the soapbox and I say, this is society's fault. And I don't know what started this or why this happened, but we live in an all or nothing world. Either you want the coach fired, or you believe in and you trust in him blindly and implicitly. Another bit that I used to do on radio shows is talk about how we don't understand nuance. Maybe I did that on this show. Remember the game?
You've said that phrase before.
We don't understand nuance. We do not.
Not even a little bit.
So then it turns into this weird thing where it's, hey, you have to pick a side. Are you on one side or are you on the other side? I'm talking about whether you like the football coach or not other things, Josh.
Oh, okay.
Which side are you on? Are you on the he need? No, I'm not.
Okay.
This is what it becomes.
Not ready to pick a side.
Would you like to fire him, or would you like to extend him forever and implicitly and blindly trust him? It doesn't have to be either. You could be in the middle. You can fence ride this thing right now.
But Connor, Kurt Cignetti jump-started that thing in
I know.
one offseason.
I know.
Coach Prime's in the playoff. Kurt Cignetti's in the playoff.
You cannot be sure if it's going in the right direction, or you could be optimistic that he is going in the right direction and still not go to the ultimate, I believe, I trust, this. And you can not believe that it's, or not be sure that it's going in the right direction and not say, well, I think that we should fire the coach, or I think they need to make drastic changes and this and this and this. It's going to be really, excuse me, fascinating to see how it plays out over the next couple of weeks. Fascinating. And no, there's no guarantee that it works. And there's definitely more people now than ever that are cautiously pessimistic, right? I don't even know if that term exists, but cautiously pessimistic. Like, hey, what's going on here? What's the deal? That's fine. I'd say that's healthy. But that doesn't mean you're out. That doesn't mean you're like, hey, we got to fire this guy today. What? Because our previous caller, Roger, is correct. That would be the stupidest thing of all time. That'd be so stupid. And it's not just about paying the buyout money. It's not just because, as Greg and Myrtle Beach referred to him as Super Trev, who gave him the giant buyout and gave him all the money and everything. It would just be stupid to fire a head coach that's won 11 games over 2 years after that period of time. You know what wouldn't be that stupid? Firing a head coach that's won 2 games over 3 years, or over 2 years, or 3 games over 2 years. That's what happened at Purdue, right? That one was pretty definitive. It definitely wasn't going to work. If you would have given him more time, you would have got the same result next year. We are not in that territory here. Not there.
Well, Connor, these children nowadays, they can just hit the reset button whenever their little video game doesn't go their way. So they take that and they extrapolate it into their real life. Oh, my job's not going well. I think I'll leave this job.
Oh, you think it's that?
And go get a new job. Oh, the coach isn't working out. I'll just fire him and get a new
Press
one.
restart on the old video game system.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Iowa JD tweets into the show.
Hi, Iowa JD.
A couple tweets from Iowa JD today. Good to hear from you. So it wasn't that you lost to Iowa. You lost to Iowa, who played a quarterback that 2 weeks ago was playing scout team linebacker. You thought Deacon Hill was the worst quarterback you ever saw. And Kirk said, hold my beer. I will beat Nebraska with a guy that plays scout team linebacker. That is definitely a part of this. Very frustrating to lose to Iowa in that form. For sure. Hard to swallow. But on the other hand, like, maybe you could take some solace in it and say, it's not just Nebraska Iowa does this to. They do it to everybody.
Right.
They do this to everyone.
And if
they have their flaws, Iowa knows they have their flaws. Obviously, they're happy to beat Nebraska. And even if Nebraska had beaten Iowa on Friday, they'd still have their flaws as well. It's just that when it comes down to the little tiny things, Iowa always wins that game. So Nebraska has to find a way to not make it about the little tiny things, or get better about the little tiny things.
Right. Like if Dylan doesn't fumble the football and they continue that drive and win the game, they're a 7-win team and everybody feels great. If they catch one of those touchdown passes against USC, dude, stack that up there. They're an 8-win team.
If Isaiah Nair had caught that ball on Friday. Ouch. One more portaler today, at least for now.
Who's portaling?
Vincent Jackson, the artist formerly known as Vincent Carroll Jackson. He plays for Nebraska, or he did anyway.
Oh, no.
He's in the portal. He's portaling. Nebraska will have to change over a lot on their defensive line this coming year. That's for sure. Joel writes in on Twitter.
Hi, Joel.
I don't want to fire Rule, but I am concerned he won't hire a defensive coordinator at or above the level of Tony White, and then does this screenshot of you holding up your concern sign.
That's a legitimate concern.
It's a concern. Hashtag concern.
For sure.
Absolutely. Have concern. It's time for concern. Not time to fire people. Or not time to fire your head coach. That's for sure. Okay. We just keep getting calls. I love taking calls. I'm a radio show host. It's in my blood.
You do.
I love taking calls. Here's Dave on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. What's up, Dave?
Well, I just got a take on the Coach Rule situation in Nebraska. I mean, when he came in, obviously we've got a culture issue, and he seems to be good. I mean, that's kind of his thing, is building relationships and changing the culture. However, he's also the CEO, and again, I'm a season ticket holder, been going since 1970, but I'm going to be out on him if he doesn't make some changes. I mean, I'm glad he fired Satterfield. That's his buddy, but Satterfield's numbers, never added up to him being the 10th highest paid, offensive coordinator in the country. And then you've got a guy like Ed Foley, whose his highest ranked special team category is 98th. I mean, he's ranked anywhere from 132nd to 98th out of 133 teams.
Not good.
So there's not one segment of the special teams that he is in the top half, yet he is the 10th highest paid special teams coach. He needs to go because he cost us several games. I realize, kids make bad snaps, but you can't tell me out of 151 kids, you can't even put Granstead back there, the quarterback, and have him throw it back. I go to high school games all the time. I don't see the silliness that we see on our special teams. So that's a beginner. He needs to get rid of McGuire too, and he needs to get rid of Thomas, because those two position groups never saw any improvement. What do you think?
Thanks for the call, Dave. Appreciate it. Nebraska's gonna have a new special teams coordinator next year.
What?
Yeah, but here's the deal, and I told people this on Overreaction on Friday. Nebraska's had many special teams coordinators dating back to, basically we're talking about after DeMornay Pearson-L left town, right? We're talking about the Riley era and on. Nebraska's had several special teams coordinators during that time. Their special teams have sucked the whole time. The whole time. And it's not just punt returning. It is punt returning, but it's all the other things too. It is frankly amazing to me how Nebraska couldn't find a guy to long snap this year. Nebraska's one of Nebraska's most missed players from last year was Marco Ortiz. Who's Marco Ortiz?
Marco Ortiz?
The long snapper.
The long snapper.
Absolutely. So that operation needs to be fixed. He knows that. But they were going to probably bring in a new special teams coordinator or bring in somebody to help out on special teams or whatever that situation looks like next year. There ain't no guarantees it's going to get fixed. It's no guarantees. So we love firing people. And it feels like it's new. And it feels like it gives you an opportunity. But, I mean, when Rule says we just need to get better, he's right. They just do. But he's got to find a way to get him to that point.
Good point.
Whether
Matt.
it's hiring new coaches or whatever it may be in the meantime. All right. I promise you we're going to talk about Ohio State because if anything, we have to just play the Gus Johnson clip. If we do anything else today, we're going to play the Gus Johnson clip.
Got plenty of time.
Sam McKewon's going to join us at the top of the hour. But first, our top 5 poll questions from the month of November. Let's be silly for 10 minutes. No calls. Phones are closed for now. We'll be back after this on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. A comment in from SEAL Team Nick on YouTube.
Hi, SEAL Team Nick.
I've had season tickets since 1890, and I'm out unless Matt Rule hires Optimus Prime as defensive coordinator.
Got to vote with your wallet.
A statement that leads us to a question. Would Optimus Prime be a good defensive coordinator? We'll get that poll up momentarily. But first, we have to look back at the month of November. Oh, what a month it was, Josh. What a month it was. We spent a week of it in Las Vegas. We had some good poll questions.
Interesting term.
The show.
Yes.
A week ago, I was doing the show from a pool.
You sure were.
Yeah. Well, I guess I wasn't in the pool, but we had poll questions that came as a result of our great month. And here are the top 5 of those poll questions. Josh, take it away.
We begin with some superlatives. The most lopsided poll question of the month. And keep in mind, when I announced the most lopsided poll question, we asked the audience if Thanksgiving is known for feasting, and it did not win most lopsided poll question of the month. On November 20th, we asked, do you got to hit that thing better?
You got to hit that thing better.
You do.
Absolutely.
And 95% of the audience agreed that, yes, you do got to hit that thing better.
That's what Dana Holgerson said.
That's right.
Just got to hit that thing better. That's all.
And a Vegas poll question found its way to the most voted on poll question of the month.
Wow.
And Connor was proven right. Do you sleep with your wedding ring off?
Oh, a point of much contention last week.
55% of the audience said no. Wait, do you sleep with your wedding ring off? No.
See, you ask questions in very weird ways.
I do.
Do you sleep with your wedding ring off? My answer would be yes to that question.
Josh and I were right. You're the monster.
At some point, we need give it a couple of weeks, but we need to rerun this poll question and word it correctly. We don't want to be like the ballot initiatives on this show.
That's right.
Very confusing.
Well, I see how that happens now.
Yes, definitely. Words are important.
It is. So we move into the top 5 proper.
God, come on. Take forever.
Number 5.
Way back on November 5th, we asked, when you think of football coach, do you think of Marty Schottenheimer?
Yes. Yes. He's the first coach.
Now, 55% of the audience agreed with you here. They said yes.
Absolutely.
When you think of football coach.
How many? What's the percentage again?
55.
All right. That's right.
Yeah.
Just you grew up during a certain time. You just imagine a football coach. He's got those gigantic, thick glasses on. You get the giant headset. And he's Marty Schottenheimer.
Giant jacket, no hat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Number 4.
These coaches with their suits and tight polos and quarter zips nowadays. Give me a break. Marty Schottenheimer, that's my guy.
Top 5 poll questions of the month of November. On November 7th, we asked what the audience would rather talk about. The Huskers offense or how to pee into a balloon.
I don't remember that one.
If you know the show, you know the results of this question.
That's right.
73.5% of the audience wanted us to discuss how to pee into a balloon.
What was the date of this poll question?
November 7th.
So this would have been after the this would have been 2 days before the bye week. So it was during the bye week.
Yeah. Anything to not talk about the Huskers offense. I contend you could have put anything in that other spot, and it would have won 73% of the vote.
Did the games get erased from my calendar when they
happen?
Gosh, I really wish they didn't do that.
No,
just so I could see what it was. All right,
keep my calendar pure.
3. Combination of 3 and 5.
Number 3.
November 6th, we asked a very important question. I felt that I was on an island, so I took it to the poll. Are you out on the domestication of trees?
Yeah, you are.
I am. 55% of the audience is not.
You don't want
answered no.
You don't want to have trees for vanity,
right?
You want trees for the sake of having trees, like for oxygen.
Yeah. That's
you're pro that still.
That's what places like Fontenelle Forest and nature preserves are for.
Yep.
Not at my house. Not falling on people's houses and creating a bunch of mess for homeowners to clean up week in, week out.
So is it fair to say there are no trees at on the Odson property?
There's one very annoying tree at the Odson house.
Why don't you chop that sucker?
It's really big, so it would be really expensive.
Wow. So maybe this one tree being a problem tree has ruined your take on trees.
I've had a bad experience, that's for sure.
Here comes 2.
Number 2.
Another societal issue came up on November 18th, and it landed in the number 2 spot for top poll questions of the month of November. Is 4 a normal amount of kids?
Oh, good one. The answer was no, right?
71% of the audience said no.
But I think at the same time, if you ask people, hey, is having 2 to 4 kids normal? They'd be like, yeah.
Or if you asked, is 4 a lot of kids? How do you
say
think
no.
that would come back?
No,
Yeah.
4 is not a lot of kids.
I believe 4 is the most you can have without everyone going, yeah, really?
1 to 4 is, everything inside that range, you're good. If you get to 5, you're like, what's going on over there? What are you trying to build? A football team? A basketball team?
And finally, number 1. It's a trilogy of questions.
Make it so, number 1.
Number 1.
Wednesday was an all-time show if you missed it.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about pea socks and Mushi and all those sorts of things. It also spurned 3 poll questions that are very, very similar in nature.
All right.
If Thanos snapped half of the foods away, would it be the worst thing ever? 53% of the audience said no. If Thanos snapped half of the podcasts away, would it be the worst thing ever? 89.7% of the audience said no. I'm going to call that 90.
Nice. Is 89.90.
That's right. And finally, if Thanos snapped half of the Eagles songs away, would it be the worst thing ever? 73% of the audience said no.
Basically, what I'm saying here is it possible Thanos was right?
Thanos made some good points.
Did Thanos have some good points? That was always the take, like, after that movie. And I'm like, shut up. You just want to be a weirdo. But I don't know. He might have been right. Definitely about podcasts. But he was just snapping people.
Well,
which I would want.
Snapping people away would snap half of the podcasts.
That's
away.
true, because almost 100% of people have podcasts.
That's right.
Okay.
Something to think about.
By the way, we got a comment here on YouTube from Travis that said Bean Talk better be on this list. So I think the beans thing started like in September, didn't it? When I got that picture from my friend.
Oh, yeah.
We had the whole conversation about beans. That was like before the Colorado game, I think.
It was definitely not in the month of November.
Yeah. But then we readdressed the beans on a crossover 2 weeks ago, I want to say, in the afternoon. I'm not sure where that's at. I don't know. I'm sure if we got any poll questions out on that. Not sure. Jordan says, Thanos can snap all the podcasts just as long as they're not 1620 The Zone podcasts.
That's right.
Great take by Jordan.
Jordan gets it.
Just as long as the podcasts aren't mushy. Thank you, Josh. Good list.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Good polls in November. We'll be back. Sam McKewon will join us on the other side. He's busy. A lot going on. We'll touch base with Sam coming up on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. It's the 1 o'clock hour of the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Feels good to do a show where the time is the same as the time that people are listening to it. That feels great. It's 1 o'clock. That way I can tell people it is indeed 1 o'clock. All right, we're joined now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline by our dear friend Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Hi, Sam.
What's going on, man?
It's been busy, yes?
It has, yeah. Not entirely surprising on the players and transfer front. We'll see where all the coaching stuff goes. But at this moment, I don't think anything is, a done deal on Tony White. We'll report what we think we know for sure when it happens. But yeah, it's not done yet, I don't think.
Interesting. Why? I guess what is holding it up from your perspective, or is it just on like the reporting side of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Nebraska potentially retains an opportunity to retain him for another year. I mean, I think that's entirely possible, and I don't know. I think there's going to be kind of a way to navigate it. Probably more money. Hard to say. I think again, I just don't think. So you had variety of kinds of reporting going on. One was like he's expected to become.
One, he was the top candidate. Yeah.
Yeah, it all kind of progressed very quickly. But ESPN put out something I think that was more accurate about discussions. That's kind of what I've heard too. And I think Florida State wants to accelerate this process because they want to get it done for signing day, and they want to be able to present to their recruits, potential recruits who they might, that they're in between on, potentially they're going to keep those guys in the boat. They're going to keep those guys there, and we'll just have to see how it all shakes out. Obviously, I think White's had 2 very good years here, and I could see Nebraska wanting to certainly keep him. And if they don't, they have options, and they're still going to play good football on the defensive side. But I think there's certainly a hope that he'll stick around.
How would you describe just how this year went from? I don't even know what it's best manifested in. Obviously, the defense was maybe not consistently as good as people expected it to be coming off of what happened last year. I guess, how would you describe sort of the mood surrounding the defense this year now that the 12 games are complete?
Well, the pass defense struggled for sure. They gave up 23 touchdown passes. That's 17th in the Big Ten out of 18 teams, and 64% completion rate, which is, 13th or something like that. Certainly they had injuries back there that set them back. Bly Hill, then Tommy Hill, then Malcolm Hartzog, then a little bit of Marquise Buford. A lot of guys were banged up at times. Deshaun Singleton probably wasn't all the way back until, after the season began. So, there were things in that pass defense that obviously there was a feeling that things didn't go quite as well as they'd hoped. Pass rush wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. Run defense was really good. It was good again. It's been very good, and it was good again this year. Very tough. How much of that is Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker? Probably more than the scheme, but obviously the scheme played a part too. And so I thought the defense had another decent year. Didn't play well in Indiana. Didn't play well against UCLA. Gave up some big plays, costly big plays against USC and Wisconsin and Iowa and UCLA, Indiana and Ohio State. Last half of the season, they gave up a lot of big plays. You go back and watch the number of big passes they gave up. They gave up a ton of big plays, and so that's something that that they'd have to rectify going into next year, and they'd be doing it with a very different group of players. It's just, and that's not. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker are hard to replace, and I don't know that they have those two guys on their roster right now. But some of the other guys, it's just time to move forward with. They had fine careers here, and they got to a bowl game at the end of it. They're going to move on with their lives, and Nebraska, I think, likes some of the talent that's young, but it's young, and it would take time next year in order for everything to come into place. So I think the defense was going to be different next season, no matter who's coordinating it, and we'll just have to see if that's Tony White or if it's somebody else. This is not, just so we're clear, this is not something that just emerged on Saturday or anything like that. I mean, Florida State fired its coordinators 3 weeks ago. They didn't just decide, hey, let's see who we can call. I mean, they didn't do that. So obviously, they're making a move, and we'll see if it works. I think Nebraska will probably have a counter, and White may make that decision today, or we'll just have to see. He may also want to hang out and wait for a head coaching job. It's hard to say. There aren't going to be a lot of great head coaching jobs, I don't think. But he may want to hang out and see if he can get one of those.
Sam, I want to change directions here a little bit and talk about sort of the game on Friday.
Sure.
And the question maybe coming out of it was sort of how it's the same one as usual. How do they find a way to get over the hump against Iowa, to do the little things better and all of those things. But then I was sort of thinking about how the Iowa game for Nebraska, and usually it's a loss to end their season. This time it's a loss, and then they'll play a bowl game, but it has a different sort of twinge to it now. How the losses to Iowa have affected decision-making or directions or whatever it might be in the program over the last several years. There's the obvious one with Bo, to go back that far. But I sort of wonder what the difference is maybe now compared to had Nebraska won the game on Friday, and if the questions are any different.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a great question of whether if they win the game. Certainly, you're talking today about going to Tampa and feeling good about where the season ended, and potentially, not having as robust a conversation about the coordinator. But I think some of those things were in motion either way. Again, like the conversation that people want to have related to whether this was supposed to be like what success looked like this year. Okay. The internal goal was to have a big year. Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you that people can feel however they want about it.
You're right.
But, and this has become sort of a, whatever you want to call it, a match between, well, I said 6-6. Well, I said 8-4. I'm just telling you that the internal process was like, this is going to be a really good season. We feel like we have the pieces to do something, 8-4 or better. And it just didn't happen. And they fell short in some games. I think they thought the offense would be a little bit better. I think the defense was frustrating in some spots. And so the overall vision was to take a big jump this year, top 25, top 20. And that didn't happen. And so now you got to take it next year. Like, this isn't going to be, 5-7, 6-6. Okay, 7-5. Okay, 7-5 again. You can't. The internal engine over there is much more motivated than that. So you can't take the sports writer, hey, we're just happy they went to a bowl game opinion. That's not. That's an area where, like, what I try to do is encapsulate what I think the internal thought process is over there. And so, it was a disappointing season. I think beating Iowa would have helped. I think the way that they lost to Iowa was enormously frustrating when you win the line of scrimmage. And so, I'm sure that there's a conversation over there today, or has been all weekend, about how do we not do the things that we absolutely knew we had to do. And they go into that second half up 10-0, and they don't tackle Caleb Johnson on one play. It's a touchdown. They screw up in special teams a couple different times. And then, they don't finish. They just don't finish the game. And I think those are things that they're really frustrated by. because they feel like they have the pieces and they feel like they have some of the components to be a really good team, but the finishing touches just aren't there. And there's a lot of, they're caught in between, and I'll write more about this at some point. Matt Rule wants them to play like a team that's going to be really good. The problem is that when Nebraska does that, they still make the kind of costly mistakes that cost them games. And it's the same old conundrum they had in the Big Ten West. How do you beat your Big Ten West peers and simultaneously aim at Ohio State? And the way you beat your Big Ten West peers is basically to hit the ball back over the net until somebody makes a mistake. And that's not the way that Nebraska played when Scott Frost was here, and it cost them games. And if you want to, when he says we got to catch Iowa, I get what he's saying. But really what you do is you join Iowa. Iowa's over here being an 8-4 team, and that's who they are, and they do it well. But Iowa's never going to win the Big Ten championship, and I think Iowa probably knows that, and they just don't care. Like it's just not going to happen. So, and deep down they know that's not going to happen. And so, do you want to be that, or do you want to be Nebraska and go for things, and and that's going to take a different level of commitment. Also takes a different level of like daring do and aggression. And Nebraska's really struggling with that last part of like, hey, let's just go play football. And when we play football, we're going to win games. And they're trying that, and it just isn't working consistently. And so I think they have to figure out how to make that formula work.
I'll tell you what, though, the more you lose to Iowa, the more people are going to say, we gotta find a way to beat Iowa. And I think that gets into the coaching staff as well. So it's a dangerous game. And that kind of goes back to my question there. Like, I just wonder how that will sit in there for the next several weeks as they're trying to figure out what the next iteration of Husker football is going to look like in 2025.
For sure. And it's, you can go big picture and say, are you able to create enough explosive plays to do the things you want to do? Or you can bore down and say, how do you score more points when your quarterback's not a runner at all? Like, do you get him to be a little bit more of a runner? Do you incorporate other things into the offense? Do you try to make things work a certain way to get where you want to go? And it's just one of the fundamental questions that you see really across the sport. If you took Jalen Milroe's running ability away from Alabama's offense, that's probably a 5 or 6 win team. It just is. He did so much for them in generating offense and yards and points as a runner, right? Like, if you take that away from him, then if you replace him with A.J. McCarron, for example, who won a national championship at Alabama, they'd probably go 6-6. So that component is really, really crucial to figure out as a program. Like, are you going to be the team that runs the football with your quarterback? Or are you going to be Texas, and you're not going to run the ball very much? You have to decide all those things. And sometimes you get the quarterback who can do both, like Jaden Daniels, and everybody hopes you get one, but that's really not where Nebraska's at. And we're just going to have to see how it all shakes out. I'm really curious to see how they kind of retool the offense and reimagine it. And then, on defense, they got to fix the roster because they're going to lose a lot of guys to the portal, guys who weren't going to play. It's going to affect their depth, and they're going to be very, very young on defense next year. And I'm sure they hope they're very talented, but it's not going to be a super deep defense.
That's just the tip of the iceberg there. Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Sam McKewon. We could have had that conversation for like 2.5 hours about all the things that are next and what's coming and all the other stuff. I sometimes kind of feel bad as well. Like, we haven't really talked about the game. I have strong opinion. Like, one thing I do have strong opinions on is the game on Friday.
The game.
Yeah. Now I can't figure out why it keeps happening. That was most of Big Red Overreaction on Friday. It was like, hey, Hap, why does this keep happening? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you are cursed. Maybe it is a curse. But
probably not.
I was thinking about that this weekend. It's got to the point where Nebraska desperately wants to beat Iowa. This is a good rivalry, right?
Yes.
They desperately want to beat Iowa. So what does that mean in how they reshape their program every year, especially considering that it's the final game of the year? That taste in your mouth does not sit well. It's disgusting. There's some leftover turkey stuck in your teeth or whatever. Green bean cat's like, just got a big chunk and now my mouth smells horrible. This is horrendous. That's your last game of the year. And Nebraska has basically done nothing but lose it, unless it's obviously unimportant. And then it was 2022 when they won it. They've had chances to get to bowl games. They've had chances to get over proverbial humps, whatever. And I don't know, like, Rule is the kind of guy who takes all that stuff into account. And he has a lot of reverence for Iowa. So we just got to get better at it. We just got to get better at it. So how does that affect what Nebraska does in the offseason? Or do you forget about it after 2 weeks? You just go back to work and start building it in your vision. I imagine that seeps into the walls.
It does seem to sort of narrow your worldview a little bit when that taste in your
Absolutely.
mouth is like, Iowa.
Absolutely.
Got to beat those
How do we
guys.
make sure that doesn't happen again? Because it just happened again. How do we make sure that it doesn't happen again? Is it we just got to get better, or is it we have to actually tailor things to make it so we beat them? I hope it doesn't go the latter, but there's no doubt that it seeps in the walls a little bit. Let's take a break. All right, finally. We got a moment here to talk about all the fights in college football and Ohio State. We do have to laugh at Ryan Day. Contractually obligated by the sports talk gods. We will make fun of Ryan Day today. We will wonder out loud if he's going to get fired. We'll be back with that after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
All right, welcome back for the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. A non-exhaustive list. I don't think this is all of them, but this is all the ones that I've heard about. Of all of the fights and skirmishes that happened this weekend around football. We had flag planting incidents at Florida and Florida State. And, of course, Michigan and Ohio State. And North Carolina State and North Carolina. At the latter two, the opposing team, the losing team, came up, stole the flag, and started ripping it to shreds and throwing it in places. The UNC guy came up and basically threw it like a javelin, and just like, get this out of here. And then, of course, there was the Ohio State guy who started just tearing it and ripping through it and swinging it around and saying, get that crap out of here. The only successful flag planting that I saw was Florida on Florida State's field. But then you also had a successful pitchfork planting in Arizona State, Arizona. Then there was a fight. Also, the mascots in that game were literally fighting each other, like a real-life fight, not like a stage, here's a cute mascot fight. They were literally fighting. They had to be restrained. The mascots in the Arizona State game. Few skirmishes in the Texas A&M Texas game. Texas was going to try to plant the flag, and then Sark was the biggest man, and he stopped them. He said, no, we're not doing this. Good on Sark. There was an Auburn-Alabama fracas, as to be expected in that game.
Iron Bowl fracas?
Just a little bit. There was the Notre Dame guy punching the USC guy in the face, in the face mask. He was like down on the ground. And he just, bang, just bang. It almost looked like he was going just for a quick jab or like a throat punch almost, but got him right in the face mask. Love when dudes punch dudes with helmets on.
Makes total sense.
Awesome. And then you had Jags Texans this weekend in the NFL, where an incredibly dirty hit came on Trevor Lawrence, and then immediately started a huge fight, all which while Trevor Lawrence was just laying on the ground in the fencing position, which is a term that I know way too much these days.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was fencing. I don't know if we want to nickname that anything, but we probably don't. It's not good. So that's what this weekend was. Now, people might say that it was a black eye on college football, or there might be younger people who would say, I love football now. This is amazing. This is what makes football great. You don't understand nuance. Once again, blame society.
Oh.
You don't understand nuance. You can both think that the outbursts of emotion this week is both stupid and kind of the soul of what makes college football awesome at the same time.
4 hours before all of those fights, the announcers were talking about blood feuds and vengeance and going to war against your rival.
It's so funny because oftentimes that stuff has to be manufactured just to make it seem like the schools hate each other. And it's so odd that all this stuff happens right now because we're in such a world in college athletics where, I mean, the only thing you ever hear is people talking about how the kids don't care about their schools anymore. The kids don't. The kids don't care about.
They're just there for the money. They'll leave in a bigger bag. They'll go across the street and play for the other school.
What does it matter to the Arizona guy if the Arizona State puts a pitchfork at their midfield? It doesn't. What does it matter to the Iowa guy if Nebraska prays on their field? It shouldn't.
Heathens.
What does it matter to the UNC guy if the North Carolina State team wants to come up and plant the Wolfpack flag on the middle of their field? People of these times would tell you that doesn't matter to the kids anymore. And yet the fights broke out. So which is it? Do people care about their schools anymore? Or do we maybe take stuff too personally? Or maybe should we throw the flags away? Where do you come down on all this, Josh? The flag planting. I like what Sark said. He was like, we don't need to do that. I mean, like, I get it. It's great. We love beating those guys. We certainly don't like them. But come on. That's just showmanship. It's just taking it to the next level.
Am I allowed to think that it is an awesome flex and completely unnecessary at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's where I fall.
Yes.
On this.
Okay. Yeah. That's nuanced. That's a nuanced take.
Okay.
You can kind of both sides of these things.
Obligatory, you don't want them to plant the flag, win the game.
I like this little graphic down here, by the way, on the YouTube, too.
Oh, thank you.
Just a big skirt. That's exactly what happened. That is the
like.
cloud of pepper spray. So then there was that. And as it's unfolding, you could just feel Ohio State tightening and tightening and tightening. Yep. And I will say, although I don't appreciate when anything good happens to Michigan, I will say that I told you guys about this Will Howard guy before the year.
Connor tried to warn you.
I tried. I've tried to tell people at various points throughout the entire year that might be the most talented in the country, talented team in the country, but that's the guy. I'm not so sure.
$3 million doesn't buy what it used to, Connor.
Yeah. And then this Ryan Day thing is now real. This is really real. You can't lose 4 times in a row to Michigan. You can't lose to Michigan on your home field as a 3-touchdown favorite. It's not allowed. I don't know if it'd be a great idea to fire him, but he has to understand that nobody's happy about this.
You can't, in the middle of a melee that includes pepper spray.
What's going on?
Do absolutely nothing.
They literally got him saying, "What's going on?
What's happening?
What happened to you?"
What? Yeah. Bad look for Ryan Day.
Meanwhile, you had Mr. Bow and Arrow. Did you see that? That was pretty. Now that was pretty badass. Sharon Moore, they make the field goal. They get the stop. They get off the field, and they got this slow-mo ISO shot on Sharon Moore. And he pulls back the arrow and says, boom. It was kind of cool.
My favorite photo was the large swath of Michigan and Ohio State players meeting at midfield, and you can just see 4 Michigan players doing the O-H-I-O.
So much disrespect.
Yeah.
Disrespect is rampant in this country right now.
I hate both of those teams
so much.
But I was cackling during that game. They're going to lose.
It's objectively funny.
Ryan Day's going to lose this game. He's going to get fired.
It is objectively funny.
He could win the national championship and still get fired.
And then you had whatever the hell was going on with our dear, dear friend, Gus Johnson.
He was on one. It's his Christmas, Ohio State, Michigan.
Oh, no, Josh. I think he was sick. I haven't heard anybody comment on this, but Klatt was doing promo reads. He was doing ad reads. He was doing play-by-play for plays at a time. Like, I think something was wrong with him. And this is now not...
Aside from being blind.
Yeah, aside from that. This is like not the first, second, or third time this is he seems to get sick on a broadcast multiple times a year now. And obviously, he's seen a lot of Ohio State games this year. So Michigan's driving it down, and they're looking to take the lead. It's 10-10. It's the fourth quarter. It's the biggest game of the year. It's probably the most watched game in college football all year long. And he knows it's the big time. But he's got nothing in the tank.
My man's gassed.
And here's how it sounded on Fox on Saturday.
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable. Wow, Jack Sawyer, the hero. Captain Jack.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, the plane's going down. I got to pull up on the stick. Captain Jack! Oh, no! Disaster!
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal Sawyer.
I don't. Something's wrong with him. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Something is wrong.
Is this something we want to pick at? I don't think it is. I don't think we're going to like the answer we get back if we like.
Yeah, like I don't want to keep asking like, is he okay?
What's
because
wrong with Gus Johnson?
Yeah, because maybe he just gets sick a couple times a year.
Sure.
Remember, it was the Nebraska-Oklahoma game 2 years ago where he literally left.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So this is not uncommon, but I hope he's okay. I wanted to hear the full Gus version of that, but what we got was this.
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable. Wow, Jack Sawyer, the hero. Captain Jack.
The hero. As he's like, the boat is sinking and his arms are just above the crest of the water. The hero. Captain Jack. Oh my God!
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable.
Now here's the question. Great call or terrible call?
I don't know. I think terrible. But at least we'll have this sound forever.
That's where I'm torn.
I listened to 3 hours of Gus Johnson and Joe Clatton. All I got was this crappy call.
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable. Wow, Jack Sawyer, the hero. Captain Jack.
It simultaneously met the moment and missed the moment.
I know. Only Gus.
Because a game was very similar to Nebraska-Iowa in that it was defensive heavy. Nobody scored in the second half except for a game-winning field goal. It was the same 13-10 score. But it was exciting.
Charles says he sounded like Rose floating on the top of that door. I'll never let go! Jack! Captain Jack! We should probably put those side by side. I don't know. I feel bad. I'm not sure.
We got 20 hours after the show. We can do that.
I can't believe the noise that he made.
So high.
Such a noise. Captain Jack. He even got in a catchphrase too. And then how about at the end when he goes, Sharon Moore says we didn't cheat this time.
Like, oh, that feels out of nowhere. True.
I go back and forth every second of every day on whether I think Gus Johnson is a good thing or not. And I suppose that's a good thing. I'm not sure.
Hey, you just beat the number 2 team in the country yet again. Ohio State's always the number 2 team in the country.
Cheat!
And you've accused them of cheating.
This time!
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable.
All right, so we got there. Thank God. Thought we were going to go the whole show and not talk about that.
You know, there's something to be said for delayed gratification.
RJ says, I hear something new every time you play it. It's only 15 seconds, but I agree. We should get it on a shirt. Warren, just back at the goal line.
Captain Jack.
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable. Wow, Jack Sawyer. Wow. The hero. Captain Jack.
You're going to cost your own
Help me.
the Black Pearl because you cursed Ohio State.
Back with the polls. We'll tell you what to watch next on 1620 The Zone. Just a lot of stuff added to our wall over the last couple of days. Our ability to just press certain buttons and, have random sounds come out of your radio like this.
I'm sad.
It's great.
Feel like we'll probably have some use for that.
But my heart sunk tonight, guys, and I'm sad.
So I have saved everything that I put in that montage that I made at the start of the show. By the way, if you missed our Big Red Overreaction montage, you can hit that on our podcast before. I have everything saved. So if you want any of those drops, they're available. We just got to throw them on the line.
Just trying to think off the top of my head. Jack Mitchell saying we're all in hell.
Yeah, I could send that one over your way. Absolutely. We have 6 grunts on here.
Yeah, there's some grunts on there.
We got the cigarette on my nipples thing. That's good. We could do some cleaning on here.
Yeah, there's some tidying that can be done.
Okay. Look at that. The show's growing.
We are.
It takes time.
End of year 3, and we're still finding our path.
You make the biggest jump in between year 3 and year 4, right?
Imagine if people wanted to fire us after year 2.
We would have never got to this point we got this.
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable! Wow!
All right, to the polls at Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Would Optimus Prime make a good defensive coordinator? That's our only poll today.
I think he would. I do think it'd be like a Magic Johnson sort of scenario where maybe he wouldn't make the best coach because it'd just be like, be big.
That's exactly the way that I was going. It's like, would Ohtani make a good baseball coach? Nobody can do the things Ohtani does.
Just do it. Just do what I
Would George Brett make a good coach? I don't know. The Royals have tried that before, but his thing was like, I just hit the ball, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Just hit the ball. I'm going to say no. I agree with you, Josh. 62% disagree with us, though. They say yes. It's time for Optimus Prime. It's time for Prime, they're saying. Interesting.
Oh.
Interesting. Those are the polls. What are we watching?
We're going to watch the National Football League tonight.
Yeah.
I guess. It's on is what I'm saying.
I'd like to give a hearty shout out, first of all. Thank you, Josh, for reminding me about this. Shout out to my dear, dear friend, Josh Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Allen. What a weekend it was for Josh. He helped me win my fantasy matchup yesterday because, of course, Josh Allen's on my fantasy team.
Sure.
And got engaged to the lovely Haley Steinfeld. This is the greatest celebrity couple that people don't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'd like to say in your face like other celebrity couples.
That's right. Josh Allen is one of the coolest people in sports, and we should all love Josh Allen. Thank you, Josh. Great job by you.
Thank you, Josh. Bo Nix will quarterback the Denver Broncos tonight as they host Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns. What weirdo thing will he say tonight? 7:00 on
the horses are prepared for battle
on ESPN and 1620. No Manning cast this week. Seems like the perfect game for a Manning cast, but what do I know? College basketball, the men's game, one game on national television tonight. UMBC at Georgetown, 5:30 on FS1. One women's game on national television tonight. St. John's at Penn State, 6:00 on BTN. In the NBA, there's just a 4-game slate with one game on national television tonight.
Basketball just punted on Monday.
That's right. Lakers-Wolves, 7:00 NBA TV. If I'm not mistaken, at least for me on YouTube TV, that's a blackout. I can't watch that game.
You can't watch who? Bulls?
The Wolves host the Lakers tonight on NBA TV.
Yeah, no, I don't think, no.
I believe that's a blackout for
you
me.
would have to get the Bally.
Yeah. NHL.
Or the FanDuel or whatever it's called now.
FanDuel now.
Yeah.
Gosh. The NHL has, you guessed it, one game on national television.
Watch out for them devil now.
That's right. They're at Madison Square Garden to take on the Rangers.
Oh, go Rangers.
6:00 NHL Network.
No, I think I'm an Islanders guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
7:00 on ABC. Pat Sajak returns to the place God intended him.
Wait, he's back already?
Well, this is Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. So Pat Sajak's hosting.
Oh, so these are pre-recorded.
Yeah, the holiday-themed episode.
I'd say once you retire, man, you can't come back for like a random episode 3 weeks later. It's too early.
Too early, but yes, these were recorded before the handover to Ryan Seacrest Chance the Rapper, Dionne Warwick, and Lil Jon on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune tonight.
All right.
And
Chance the Rapper, good to see him back in the limelight.
Star Wars nerds rejoice. There is a new series to disappoint you on Disney Plus. It is called Skeleton Crew. Tell me if this plot sounds familiar, Connor, even though you've never seen a Star Wars. 4 kids get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy.
Sounds like Stranger Things.
That sounds like a lot of things. Jude Law stars in this version.
Jude Law.
Yeah, Jude Law's back, everybody.
Jude Law's back. Wow. All right, Josh, that's a good night of television, I say.
There's one of everything for you.
You don't get to pick that much. The menu isn't that big, but the menu will be done right.
That's right.
As always. That's it for us today. If you missed anything, you can find it all on our website, 1620thezone.com, or wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube. The crossover is next.